And guys, we're going to do the same thing we did last week. If you guys remember, we flipped it around and took a few business clinic questions. So before we start the meat of the day, we'll take two issues. And I think that's a very effective way to even teach, right? To solve problems while we're teaching, right? We're going to have the same problem we had last time. I think the maximum our participant can take is 100. We've almost reached 100. Did you see what I can do an upgrade? So we can get more than 100 people to come
No,
in.
it's
That's the thing
500 now.
about growth.
It's
Every
500 now, so.
every growth comes great. So every growth comes with every primary risk gives birth to secondary risk, right? Yes. So yes, today we're talking about leverage, levers, how to do more with less. Like the guy who's, like I described last time, the guy who's trying to carry a bag of cement, he's going to struggle. If you put another bag of cement on top of him, he's probably going to fall because of the weight of that cement. But that does not mean that there's no better way to carry that cement. What if you give him a wheelbarrow? So the wheelbarrow is a lever. He's going to find out that he would carry 5 bags of cement with a wheelbarrow and he will feel less the pain. So that's really how people don't realize it. The reason why it's heavy on you is not that the weight is heavy, is based on how you carry it. Everybody has 24 hours in a day. Have you noticed how some people do more with 24 hours and some people do less 24 hours? So today we're talking about how to do more with less, the 5 different types of leverage that we can. But before we do that, I will nominate 2 people, fastest fingers, 2 people who want to tell us a business challenge that they have and we can solve them. Hopefully one of the ways we solve them with one of the 5 leverages. I'm sure you guys are curious to know what the 5 levers of business is, 5 things you can leverage on to do more with less. Right. So yes, you can you can raise your hand.
Good morning. This is Mr. Bimbo Yeshua.
My official now we have co-pilot. What are we gonna go to call you? Aeronautic engineer? The guy that all the other guys.
Thank you so much for what you do, Izu, and I'm very glad to be here again. And I believe everybody is glad to be here as well. I just noticed that today is going to be very fantastic. I'm happy that they've extended the numbers of people that will be on the group. But there's something I just noticed. There's an undergraduate guy here by the name of Yemi. And I was also quite impressed because he's talking about planning to be on the VC, venture capitalist. Venture capital. One of the things I noticed that you brought a guy. So I believe that let the guy talk. Maybe it will be at least because for a young guy, undergraduate, that looks very good. And you already have a guy that is already one of your friends.
Okay, you're breaking a bit, so I don't know if it's just me. You're saying there's an undergraduate guy who's here? Yes?
Yeah. Yes. So can you hear me better?
Yeah, we can try to hear you. Yes, we can hear you.
Let me do something. Okay, let me do something. Can you hear me better?
Mr. Bimbo, we can hear you loud and clear. Mr. You might have to switch your internet.
Oh, okay, good. Okay, good. So it's not from my side. Okay, so that this guy that is on ground, I think I'm quite impressed because I don't know how it got here, but for a young guy that is aspiring to be a VC, and is presently a chemist. So, and you already have your friend who is also here who has gone through that route. I think let's start with that one area, that area, because that will also encourage or inspire younger ones that will be joining. Because I know that you want a lot of younger ones to be coming, as in going to entrepreneurship or intrapreneurship. But the truth that this is the best way for us to start. Then I have 1 or 2 other people that I think we need to also look at their cases. Thank you, sir. God bless you.
All right, thank you. I don't know who the chemist young undergraduate is, but you're on a journey to a very good start. I don't know when everybody talks about the secret and recipe to success. They talk about so many different things: passion, focus, strategy, structure. But there's something people believe that is one of the most important factors to success in life, and that is timing. Timing, perfect timing. I was reading so like I told you guys last week, I've been doing a lot of biography, reading on biographies. I find that very intriguing. Successful people and how they became successful. And I found a trend and a pattern that most of the very successful people, one thing they all seem to have in common is that they all started really early. And I don't know why nobody really promotes that. Nigeria is an interesting country. Nigeria, people start life late in Nigeria. I was telling someone that Nigeria is the average age of getting to school in Nigeria is about 19 years old. And if your parents have money, you do double promotion, you skip common entrance. People that their parents have money, they do primary five, they don't do primary six. Right? If you went to very good school, sometimes they tell you that, oh, your child is too brilliant, let him take common entrance in primary five. And then if your parents also are very wealthy, they sometimes get you to write jam only once, whether you pass or not. If your father has money, you can go to Babcock and Covenant. Right? Now, sorry, please, I don't know who's noise in the background. Please, can you mute? So one thing I found out, and this is even one of the things about leverage, right? And I want to say this to the young boy here. When you start earlier than your mate, you already have a head start. Think about life like a race, right? When you start early enough, you have a head start. So when you look at all these guys that we like to talk about, fancy guys, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, these popular guys, Mark Zuckerberg, do you guys realize that every name I've called, all of them started their business before they turned 20? Did anybody just realize it? That everybody I've mentioned at 20. Now, let's come back to Nigeria and see whether that thing is a rule too, whether whether it is, right? I was reading Mikel Obi. I was talking about Mikel Obi. Do you guys realize that Mikel Obi had started playing in the Eagles? I think they were called Flying Eagles when he was like 16. Now, you look at a Dangote at 15 years old, was already working with Data, taking trucks from Kano all the way to Lagos to supply at 14, 15. Guys, Mark Zuckerberg, how old was he again? When he started Facebook? Before Facebook, he had built like a business before. Elon Musk, before 20, had already sold his first business. So why I'm saying this is not to make anybody feel bad, because almost everybody's past 20 or 30. Some of us are in our mid-age already. Is for your children, the best gift you can give your children is if you ever find something they're interested in, invest in it while they're still teenagers. It gives them a head start in life. I mean, I remember in my 20s when I started Hexavia, and yes, I started in my 20s, and people used to wonder, oh, how do you do business? How do you teach business in your 20s? Where do you get the knowledge from? But I always just used to laugh, because the trade secret behind it was that I had a father who, every time there was holiday, he made sure I didn't stay at home to play video games. Even till now, I have a 6-year-old, and I'm still trying to do the same thing for my 6-year-old. Right? We don't have a TV in the house. We've never had a TV in the house, in the whole house. There's no TV upstairs, downstairs, no TV anywhere. What that does is it gives him the opportunity to explore other things, right? Whatever he's interested in, let him try to do it, right? Let him explore. Let him learn that, oh, there can be reward for what you do. I was reading the Otedola book. Did anybody notice the part of Otedola's book when he said that his father would have guests over, and then he would take scissors, pedicure scissors, manicure and pedicure tools, and go to meet Hope you know that that's his first stint at electric. At that point, he's going to hear a lot of rejection first at an early age. So rejection will not look new to him when he gets older, because some people will not let a child cut their nails for the risk of it. Some people will give their nails for him to cut. But you see that advantage he had. Then he now went ahead to say, I think he dropped out of secondary school or something like that, and joined his father in the printing press. Do you guys see how early it takes for you to start? It does matter how early it takes for you to start. I just want to say that for everybody who has children here, expose your children at a very young age. It's the same story in any category. The greatest pop artist of all time, or the greatest musician of all time, Michael Jackson. Did you guys see how old he was when he was in Jackson 5? This guy was like 12 years old already, and he was already performing on stage. Beyonce, you guys know Beyonce's story, right? Destiny's Child. They were teenagers, right? It does matter when you start. One of the greatest factors to success in life is the age of which you started. Life has morning, afternoon, night. I think of it as morning, afternoon, night. The first 30 years is morning, 30 to 60 is afternoon, and 60 to 90, for people who have the grace to live to 90, is night. Most time people start to live their morning in the afternoon, and that's the problem that they have. So start now, fail early, learn from failure, build confidence, and move on. Bolade, please say something if you're here. Macaulay, let's start with the first leverage, but we said we're going to take 2 questions, right? But Macaulay, do you want to say anything about starting early? Is there any other example or something that strikes you about timing and how early, the earlier you start, the better for you to get better because of the law of cumulative advantage? Macaulay, do you want to chip in something there?
Besides, if you can hear me, sorry, Ms. Macaulay, if you can hear me, you might have to switch your internet for better reception. At some point, you break.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can everyone confirm that that's the same? It might also be your network, but I'm not sure. What would I get another internet now?
Are you connected to your Wi-Fi or to your phone?
To my phone. Did you confirm if the house?
Yes. Switch to your Wi-Fi.
Okay, let me see. Okay, Macaulay, you can go ahead and contribute.
Venus and Serena Williams, they started very early in tennis. They're very great examples of people who their parents invested everything into their talent in order for them to be successful. And they went on to win many, many tennis awards.
Interesting.
So those are the people that I would add.
All right, let's deep dive into 2 questions. Who's going to nominate themselves? Business challenge you have, and maybe we can all look at it as a group think and try to solve the problem just real quick.
I think maybe is the lady starting first. The lady, the undergraduate lady, she's starting first. Hello?
Somebody called Kenneth has their hands up.
Okay. Kenneth, you want to speak? Go ahead and speak.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Easter to everyone. So, we're looking at scaling to ₦1 billion, and the last time I said that, you gave me some insight to some of the things. Sorry, which I've already done, and but we still not hitting it. We've done over, like, let's say 50% of what we're looking at doing compared to last year, but we're still not hitting the target that we're looking at hitting realistically. Hello?
Okay. I was waiting if you finished. So you said you're trying to do $1 billion. You've done half. You've not been able to do half. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Okay. All right. I'm not sure if you've done half in a quarter, right, of 1 year. You're trying to hit $1 billion in 1 year. Is that it? Because you've done one half in a quarter, that means you're going to hit your 1 billion, by the way. I'm just curious. Is that what you mean? Because you've not done half of the year. You reach half of your target already.
No,
so it looks like
we've not done up to half for the first quarter. We are getting into the second quarter. Basically, from January to March, we've done only 100 million.
Oh,
Is it, can you hear me? Yeah.
I don't know what's wrong with my network.
Hello,
Okay,
can you hear me?
Yes. Now I'm gonna have a bit of challenge with the network thing. Oh, can I try? Just switch my network. Try again. Let me see if I can hear you pretty well now.
Okay. Can you hear me now better? Is it better now?
Yes, I'd like to think so because I switched network. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. I said we're looking at hitting $1 billion, but from the scalability rate we are projecting, it doesn't look like we're hitting there. From January to this April, let's just add the April because we just closed the day before yesterday. We just done over 100 million, and at the rate which you're looking at, we might not get there.
Okay. Kenneth, so first things first, and this is for everyone else who wants to contribute. Tell us what you do, because we don't know what you do, right? Tell us what you do, especially for the sake of other people, what you do and what step you've taken already, right? And then we'll take that. So go ahead. What do you do?
Okay, we are a video marketing agency. Basically, what we do is that we create video marketing content for companies to use for their marketing campaigns and social media promotion. And additionally, we have a film school, which is actually a monotechnic where we teach students on creative skills from photography, cinematography, and the business of filmmaking, basically.
Okay. All right. So there's something called addressable markets, right? In business development. Addressable market is the total maximum amount you can make from your industry. Total addressable market you can make from your industry, right? Addressable markets. Of course, when you break down the addressable market, you now have sub content like total addressable market, serviceable addressable market, and serviceable obtainable market. We call it TAM, SAM, and SOM. I'm going to talk really fast, but somebody should research around this. So first things first, there are certain industries that have a ceiling, that the addressable market is already too high, too low, that no matter what you do, you cannot do bigger than that. Let me give a good example of an industry like that. Let me say kerosene industry, right? Kerosene industry, let me say how many households, let me assume that Nigeria has 200 million people, and let me say 20 million households. 20 million households means in the families, 20 million families. And let me assume each family has about 10 people. I'm just saying. Now, if 20 million households and already 19 million out of them, I'm just saying this is not, forget the accuracy of the data, I'm just using assumptions. Now, if there are 20 million households, right? And in that 20 million households, 18 million already, right? That's 90%, right? 18 million households already use gas. That means the only household is only 10 million households, right? Sorry, 20 million households, 18 million use gas, only 2 million households use kerosene to cook. That means only 2 million out of 20 million households that use kerosene to cook, right? That's firewood, kerosene and firewood to cook, right? And each, that 2 million households, right? It's only them, and each 2 million uses maybe only, I'm just saying, only 100 naira worth of kerosene. I'm just saying. Hope you know that there's no magic you want to do that allows you to make more than, that's 22 million times 100, that's 200 million. Do you hope you know that there's no magic you can do that makes you to make more than 200 million? In other words, your addressable market has a ceiling. So there are industries where the market size is not just big enough, right? Or the market size is big enough, but it's being shared with other people, right? The market size is big enough, it's being shared with other people. Now, when you have that scenario, I think that's the scenario you're in, because it's like selling, you get my point. Like, so let me use another example that just really makes sense, right? You are into video making, right? I don't know what the total number of companies in Nigeria that needs, because most people that need you is video companies and maybe individuals who are doing weddings and birthdays. You need to find out what the addressable market of your business is. That leaves you with other options. So there are only 3 ways you can. So there are only 3 ways. Sorry, just give me. There are only 3 ways. There are only 3 ways you can increase your market. So one is to look at whether there are other product lines you can sell. So for the guy that sells kerosene and he's reached the maximum, he can say, what else can I sell? He can sell maybe firewood, right? You sell kerosene, there's a ceiling. You can't sell more than this amount of kerosene. What else can you sell around that supply chain? So that's the first thing I'm asking you. What else can you sell, right? Apart from video editing. For example, why do people need video editing? People need video editing or video production to do world-class videos so that they can maybe promote it on social media. Am I right, okay, Kenneth? I need you to maybe unmute your mic.
Right. Yes,
Now,
right.
that gives me an idea. And that idea is, and this is for everybody here, and I'm not trying to solve this kind of problem, I'm trying to solve everybody's problem. the first thing you ask is when people buy your product, you ask yourself, what do they use that product for? What do they use that product for? Right? Now, what they use that product for, you either move forward or backward to create a complementary thing for that product. I don't know if you get it, right? So let me give a good example. Somebody comes to you, sell akara on the street, and you sell akara. This question of what else did they use your product, what did your product for is, you call the guy that buys akara. 4 guys out of 5 that bought akara. What do you buy akara for? They say, I buy akara to eat bread for breakfast. I buy akara to eat bread and akara for breakfast. What does that suggest to you? What do they use your product for? They use it for breakfast. Now, what other thing do they do when they're using for breakfast? They use bread. So you start to sell bread. Do you get it now? Oh, what else do they do? Akara and what? Tea. You start to sell tea. So Kenneth, I'm sure you understand what I'm saying now. I'm saying start an ad agency, because people use your promotional videos that you produce for them to do advertising. Advertising will give you more money than movie production will give you, for simple reason that the movie production people are competing, right? The movie production people are competing. Okay, Bolade just sent me a message now. Let me send. Bolade said he's trying to have the problem trying to log in. My second co-pilot. Let me just send that to you. Right. Okay. So your addressable market for video production is lower than the addressable market, right, for advertising. You need to be in industry that have high addressable markets, right? That have high addressable markets, right? So first idea I'm giving you is forward integrates into having an ad agency. Hire somebody on your team who has specialization. Hire a new guy with specialization for sponsored ad, for media buying. There's something called media buying in advertising. The people that take your content and your product and put it to multiple media channels, right? Then another thing you need to do is to backward. Now, remember I said there's forward integration, there's backward integration. Forward integration in business is the business model where you create a new product line within the value chain of your business. So for you to understand this thing, I'm going to explain 2 new concepts: value chain and supply chain. Value chain is horizontal. Horizontal is a line. I don't know why I don't have my board here. I really wish I had a board here, right? Value chain is horizontal. Value chain is if I sell cigarettes, I should sell matches. Cigarette and matches are in the same value chain, right? If I own a hotel and I sell rooms, I need to start selling food and beverage. Food, beverage, and room are all in the same value chain. Do you get it? Value chain, product that are complementary or are used together, like jewelry and clothes are in the same value chain in business. Do you guys get it? You wear the both together to look good. They are in the same value chain of an industry called fashion. So what I've told you to do is look for other products in your value chain, right? So you do production. What else can you do within the value chain? Then supply chain is the things that move you up or down, right? Of it. Oh, thinking about it now. What I said was supply chain. Supply chain is when they buy it, how do they use it? Either up or down. Do they go up to the retail or consumer, to the retail and wholesaler, or do they come down from retail to consumer? You know that supply chain of, supply chain: producer, wholesaler, retailer, consumer, right? So if it's getting a bit technical, let me just step out and just give you this key advice. I wanted you to get the concept and not just the advice. But if you just want to
I get it clearly.
yes, the advice is look at product you can add within your value chain, or look at product you can add within your supply chain. Product you add within your value chain is called horizontal integration. otherwise called forward integration. So every time you hear in business development or business model design or design thinking, when you hear people say I'm forward integrating, forward integration means that they are adding more product lines in the same value chain. So forward integration means the same product line in the same value chain. For example, Dangote forward integration, right, is Dangote sells petrol. Dangote now goes ahead to also sell diesel. That's forward integration. Do you guys get it? Because petrol, diesel is all to power energy. Now, supply chain is things within the backward integration is things within the supply chain. So look for product to add to your value chain or product to add to your supply chain. Product add to your value chain, you're going to call them forward integration. Product add to your value supply chain, you're going to call it backward integration. So product add to your backward integration, otherwise called supply chain, is add other product lines, right? You're into video production. You can now go into rental of equipment. Kenneth, do you currently do rental of equipment?
No, we don't do rental of equipment, but we have a creative studio where you can rent and do your production, more like a creative house already designed for you.
So you want to be able to say, we rent equipment. Now, in case it's too capital intensive to buy equipment, all you just need to do is go into partnership with one guy who has a warehouse of equipment and doesn't know who will come and rent. Remember, you already know people. And let me say this, in 2026, you don't need to own anything in inventory. You just need to know people that own those things and are not using them optimally. There's one guy who's sitting here who has what you call dead capital, right? Or idle capital. Sitting down there in Alaba International, there's one guy that has a shop, a warehouse full with equipment and only sells 2 in a day. You go to that guy and reach a partnership with him to say, I would put out a flyer to say, I now rent and sell equipment. Remember, you don't rent and sell equipment, Kenneth. But you're going to give me 20% of any equipment I sell, or 10%. So that guy has a camera that is 20 million naira. 10% of 20 million naira is 2 million naira. You know 1,000 people, the guy knows only 100 people. So you can sell 10 equipment. Remember, he can sell only 2 in a day. You can sell 10. Each of them is worth 20 million each. 20 million naira each is 200 million. 10% of 20 million is 20 million. You can make 20 million without owning inventory. Make sense? And this is how I want everybody to think about their business. So think of expansion, because the business you're in, there's no amount of money. The money, there's already a ceiling. Don't forget that your movie production is competing with content creators now. iPhone 17 is contesting right now as we speak with Canon cameras. Am I right? What used to be, what needed complex technique? What needed complex technique in movie production has been reduced and disrupted by technology. For example, if you have a new iPhone 17 now, the settings of this iPhone 17, 4K, 4K 60, 4K 30, you know the times I'm talking about, Kenneth, right? Right?
Very well.
The autofocus, the contrast, they are so structured from the factory that you don't really need a Hotspot, a Kenneth Hotspot, to go and shoot videos. I was telling someone that some of the professional stuff you see on TikTok by A-list guys like Sabinus and Tao, right? You guys are just content creators. Some of them were done with iPhones. So your market size, your TAM, remember, Ken, do you remember what I said? This was acronym for TAM. Addressable market. Your total addressable market is shrinking. It's shrinking. It was what I was telling people. I spoke somewhere at an event on Saturday last week, was it Friday or Saturday? And I was telling them that, look, if you sell real estate in Nigeria and there are 200 million Nigerians, hope you know that your total addressable market is less than 2% of Nigerians. That means 98% of Nigerians are not on your universal set, or what you call addressable markets radius. They're not your radius. In other words, 98% of Nigerians have no business with the land that you're selling. Because for you to have business with land, you must at least have 2 million naira in your account. except you want to buy land with small court case or land without any title. That means that 98% of Nigerians don't have 500,000 accounts. That means your total addressable market is not 200 million. You see, the problem with Nigerians is that they assume that everybody in Nigeria is their market. There are very few things in Nigeria where everybody is your market. When people say, oh, there are 200 million people, so I sell land to 200 million people, you're lying. You don't sell land to 200 million people. The highest land you can sell to anybody in Nigeria, the highest addressable market, let me show you the thing. TAM, then SAM, then SOM. These names sound like name of people, but they're not. They're acronyms. TAM, SAM, and SOM. Your TAM is 200 million people. Your SAM, 200 million people is total population of the people you're looking at. Your SAM is people that can afford your service, is only 2% of Nigerians. That means that your 200 million people that are using to go and booga investors is not really 200 million. It is 20 million. Bolade, please confirm that you're here now and say something. Right?
Yes,
then,
I'm here.
Oh, okay, great. I'd like you to throw more light on this because you do a lot of TAM, SAM, and SOM analysis in your PEVC business, if I'm right. Your SAM is actually less than 2 million, less than 20 million. Now, TAM is total market size. Your SAM is total market size that can afford your service. Your SOM is total number of people that can afford your service and are ready to buy. So, for example, I can have 20 million naira in my account. I'm in your SAM in real estate because I have 20 million. Remember, anybody that has over 2 million is on your SAM, but I'm not in your SOM. You guys get it? That means I have 20 million, but that 20 million is competing with my container that is entering from China to Nigeria. I rather use that 20 million to do offloading from Tinkan Island than to buy land. I don't know if nobody gets it. Right? But Bolade, I want you to throw more light about this, how you can expand your business if your TAM, SAM, and SOM has a threshold. Now, because it has a threshold, you can't sell to more people. There's nothing you can do that can sell more to more people. Let me give you an example. Nigeria has 200 million people, shared almost equally 50-50 between Christian and Muslim. In other words, that 50% of Nigerians are Christians, 50% of Nigerians are Muslims. Now, hope you know that when you say 50% of Nigerians are Christians, I'm just using an example because really in the real sum of it, it's probably like 48-48. Then you're wondering what the rest 4% is. 4% of Nigerians are idol worshippers. The idol worshippers are the indirect actual idol worshippers because even most Nigerian Christian Muslims are idol worshippers. You don't just know because some of people, a lot of Christians in Nigeria, if things go bad, they'll enter one village to go and look for a solution. Those ones are Christians on paper, but they're also Christians / partly. Some of you have mothers in the village who are giving you one thing to wear on your waist and on your neck for protection. You're a Christian, no, but still an idol worshiper. But that's by the side. Let's not go there. Some of all the Yahoo boys are doing juju. If they feel form, they will not put juju as religion now. They will put Christianity. So you can sell addressable market overrated. But even in that 50 million, so let me give an example, 100 million. So imagine if Redeemed Christian Church says they want to target 150 million Nigerians. That would be a big lie because their threshold already is 100 million. Do you guys get it? But guess what? That 100 million is not the addressable market, though. Because hope you know that out of the 100 million Nigerians that are Christians, do you guys know that 60% of Nigerians that are Christians don't have church that they attend? I was telling somebody that every Sunday, the amount of people that are sitting down in their home is double the amount of people that you see in church. That was why when people like Nathaniel Bassi and Jerry Eze entered that industry, you see that industry called vigil industry, I knew that those guys were genius. You know what those guys did? Those guys left people that were going to church. Nathaniel Bassi was not targeting people going to church. Jerry Eze is not targeting people that was originally going to church. Harvesters is the most genius of all of them. Bolaji Joe, that guy is a genius in marketing. Do you guys realize that half of the people you see in TBS when they do Harvesters know they go church on Sunday, including Sawolu that came last month. He did a crusade. Sawolu came for a video. I said, which church do you people know that Sawolu attends? So what he's doing is targeting uncontested markets. So that's where TAM, SAM, and SOM comes in. I hope it makes sense. Bolade and Macaulay, I'd like to know your views because a lot of people collect investors' money with the booga of how big their market size is, but what they're talking about is TAM and not SOM. And in business, you don't talk about TAM, you talk about SOM. SOM means the guys that are in your niche, in your market size, the guys that can afford you, and the guys that are ready to buy from you. So I can be a Christian, but I'm not interested in Christianity. Make sense? Bolade, you want to give a real life other examples, or you want to chip in a bit more?
Hi everyone. Good morning and thanks for having me. My name is Bolade Okeo. Just confirm you can hear me.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great.
Can hear
Okay,
you.
so
Yes, we can hear you.
so in our own world, I don't know if Izo has told you about what I do or where I work. I work with a private equity fund, and our job is basically to find businesses to invest in and return the money back to investors. The easiest thing to do is to find the business. The hardest thing is to return the money to the investors. But when it comes to this serviceable addressable market, addressable market, the first thing we always tell ourselves is the 200 million people in Nigerians, 200 million people in Nigeria are for the textbook. For the business, our number of Nigerians starts from the amount of BVN holders that there are in Nigeria. There are only 40 million BVN holders in Nigeria. Those are the people that are able to do transactions on their online banking. And so for us, most of our markets start from there. And so we don't even, so in our books, there's nobody that is targeting 200 million Nigerians. The most you can target, in our opinion, is 40 million. But I'm not sure if you've actually heard that statistic that there's less than 1 million people that have 500,000 naira in their accounts. So
yeah, that's why I got the percent. I agree with you 100%. Less than 2%.
Yeah, so the numbers now start to change significantly. When Izu said there's a threshold, there's a limit to what you can sell or the people you can sell to, the answer could be yes, but the answer is also a function of price and volume. So if you're selling to 10,000 people, can you increase the volume that you're selling to those 10,000 people? They call it grabbing a higher share of their wallets. So if I was selling you voice calls before, I'm now selling you data. I've now layered on borrow credits. Basically, I'm talking as MTN now. I've now also layered on ringtones. I've also layered on text messages about news and comedy. I've layered on XYZ. That's what increases their average revenue per user. So in your business, what you should be asking yourself is not necessarily, do I need more customers? But how can I get a deeper share of the wallet of my existing customer? In banks, it's the same thing. If I've given you a loan for working capital, I'm coming back to ask you, now that you've done working capital and you're now doing these projects on a monthly basis or whatever your cycle is, can I also give you a loan for CAPEX? Can I open salaries for your staff? Once I open salaries for your staff, can I open mortgage accounts for your staff? Your staff that are married, can I do joint accounts for them and their spouses? Can I do savings accounts for their children? Basically, the question is, how do you get a deeper share of the wallet? Can I pause there?
Fantastic. And I love the simplicity of the complex conversation I'm having. What you've just done is, while everybody's trying to sell to more customers, that's why I told Hosfeld, I don't know, but at one point, John Hosfeld said he's trying to hit 1 billion, but he doesn't think he can meet 1 billion. And I said the reason for that is that instead of you trying to find new customers, can you find other things within the supply chain and the value chain? So, for example, what you just mentioned now is the value chain of that business. I have sold you, I'm a bank, I've given you a loan. What other things can I give you from that loan? And the question is usually, when you sell something, you ask the customer that you sold that thing to, what he's going to use that thing for. Right? So, for example, when the customer give me a loan, I say, what do you need this working capital loan for? He says, I need to pay my staff salary. So remember, what are you going to use that money for? Now, because it says, I want you to use it to pay my staff salary, your genius now says, let me open salary account for your customers. Because you want to collect the money that you gave him, a part of it back. I don't know whether you guys are following that logic. It always comes from, and this is why this is a perfect time to start up our conversation about leverage, because people don't know how to leverage on mind power. You see, we think in scarcity in Nigeria. If you think abundance, your brain is expanded. So because you're an abundant thinker, you know that while the threshold is limited, the want is unlimited, right? So there's no grammar you want to speak. For example, the person who wants to buy one camera, he wants to buy just one Canon camera. There's no grammar you speak to that guy to buy two Canon camera. He needs only one camera. There's nothing he wants to do with two camera. But you cannot ask him that camera where you won't buy only one. What thing you want use am for? Most of us don't ask our customers what they're using that product for. So when that customer says, "Oh, I want to use and go shoot a video where I want to do sponsored ad," because he has said to use and go shoot video, want to do sponsored ad, you start thinking of, and you ask another guy, say, "I want you to shoot video for sponsored ad." 4 guys walk into your shop, and 4 of them say they want to shoot your sponsored ad. So value chain thinking and horizontal value chain thinking, otherwise called vertical integration. Value chain thinking, otherwise called forward integration or horizontal integration, is asking what else can you do with the guy that has given you money first, right? So that idea that Bolade gave you just a brilliant idea. You sell a product. Let me give you a practical example in Hexavia. We sell consulting. Our consulting says we are restructuring consultants. Our money is, let me just give an example, $20,000, 25 million naira. You pay me 25 million naira for consulting 3 months. What do you pay me for? You pay me for corporate restructuring, am I right? Now, I ask, what do you need corporate restructuring for? The person says, I need to restructure my business so that I can go and collect bank loan, because bank loans are saying your business is not organized enough for us to give you money. So go and organize your business and come back to us. Now, because they've said that, right? I'm now looking for somebody that gives bank loan. Bolade, is that not the reason why we had a meeting like 2 weeks ago? It was last week. That Bolade said, look, we have funds. And I'm like, oh, then I need people that have funds. Now, that's one way to look at it. The guy says, okay, I want to restructure my business. And in the process of restructuring, I realized that half of his staff are redundant. We need to fire them and hire new people. Now, that's recruitment. Because we're into recruitment, because we are doing restructuring, we don't do recruitment. What I would now like to do is now to set up another business that does recruitment. That was why we started off Foundation 360 Recruitment Agency, a sister company to Hexavia. Guess what? Remember, it's 20 million the guy, 25 million the guy paid us. So now we can collect extra 1 million for recruitment, right? 10% on 10 staff, right? He says, I want an expatriate. He's trying to expand his factory. He says he needs an Indian. I said, don't worry, I'll help you get an Indian. I'll collect 10% of the $10,000 you're paying that Indian guy every month. Now, onboarding becomes a problem. Because onboarding becomes a problem, you have to onboard 10 new people that you just hired. We created an academy called Onboard X that helps you onboard people in the shortest spot, like a Coursera, Udemy. Remember, we created your JD, your KPI, your SOPs. We have the detail. With AI, we can convert them to videos. Then we can give people opportunity to take the courses on our platform and get the certificate to resume. So that 25 million naira has now moved to maybe 30 million naira. Do you guys get it? That's really what this whole thing is about. So let's deep dive. Hosfel, I hope I've been able to inspire you to think, what more can you sell to those people as against what more customers can you get? Because everybody thinks about more customers. Meanwhile, you should not be thinking about more customers first. You should say, the current customers you have, what more can you sell to them? And let me tell you the unit of this thing to make sense. It must be excellence and value, because the customer is going to buy more things. If the one that they bought before doesn't work for you. Look at what Dangote is doing. Dangote sold us petrol. Now, Dangote is selling you transportation. He's invested in buying, how many thousand trucks did he buy again? Was it 20,000 trucks? Meaning that Dangote now is in trucking business. Because you will not buy diesel, 33,000 liters of petrol, and carry it on your head now. Would you carry it on your head? No. So when you buy the diesel, he's not selling more petrol, but he's making more money from the same guy you sold petrol to. Now, you can buy petrol, and then when you buy petrol, he will truck it for you. Sharp guy. If care is not taken, right? If care is not taken, he will create another product line that makes sure that they don't steal your petrol when you enter. Technology. I'm sure everybody that runs a business in Nigeria that buys diesel in large quantity knows that one problem we have in Nigerian business is that people are stealing petrol and diesel. Has anyone noticed it? People are constantly stealing your diesel, right? So he can sell you that and say, look, I don't just want to sell you diesel. I want to make sure that when I sell you the diesel, they don't steal it. So let's move into today's session. Bolade and Abigail. Today we're talking about 5 levers of your business. Lever, adjective for leverage, right? There are 5 things you can do that helps you do more with less. A lot of us are hustling too hard. I was telling somebody that Nigerians are 5 times more hardworking than Canadians, but Canadians are 5 times more productive than Nigerians. Let me say that again. Nigerians are 5 times more hardworking. I don't know if you know that the average Nigerian spends more time at work than most other people. We spend more time at work because, first of all, and I'm not talking about the time you spend in traffic. Traffic is not part of the work. If you now add the traffic going and coming, some of us spend 2 hours going, 2 hours coming if you live in Lagos. So imagine a guy that wakes up and gets to the bus stop by 6:30 a.m. and gets to work at 8:30. That's 2 hours. Coming back, another 2 hours. I did not add it though. So what we're here to talk about today is the power of leverage. So you don't spend more with less. You don't do less with more. Instead, you do more with less. Otherwise called the multiplier effect. The multiplier effect is how one single effort, that effort could be resources, it could be decision, produces a disproportionately higher level or larger level of output, right? In an exponential or compound value. Let me say that again. Leverage, or what you call multiplier effect, multiplication effect, is in how one single input, right, can produce a more disproportionately larger volume of output. So, for example, I don't think that 1 unit should equal 1 result. 2 units should equal 2 results. 3 units should equal 3 results. It should be 1 unit should equal 1 result. 2 units should equal 100 results. 3 units should equal 1,000 results. 4 units should equal 100,000 results. That's how we should think. And there are 5 forms of leverage. Let me mention them, and Bolade will throw more light on each of them, and Macaulay as well. Mind power is the first. There are 5. I'm going to talk about, sorry, there are 6. There are 6 ways you can leverage on doing more with less. Mind power. Look, no matter how hard you work in this life, if you don't have the mind power of abundance, buoyancy, if you are in that stage of your life where 10 million naira is such a big money in your head, your brain cannot carry it, you'll be hard to succeed. That means your brain is shrunk to a very small volume in your head. I don't know if we know that there are people who would never in this life, ever walk into a place and buy a bottle of Coke, right, for 2,000 naira because they think it's too expensive. There are people who have never closed their eyes as human beings and seen themselves in a private jet, even in imagination. They are so limited with the reality of the poverty around them. And this is why I was telling people that if you find out people that are very successful in Nigeria, one of the trends you see is that before they got money, they got exposure. Has anyone noticed it? Before they got money, they got exposure first. Like I was saying last week, name top 10 biggest artists in Nigeria, top 10 biggest artists in Nigeria. You find out that they got exposure. So I was listening to a Burna Boy interview, and Burna Boy said he did his first album, second album, and I think by his third album or so, I'm not sure, he began to have international exposure. That one day he flew to, I can't remember what country, to sit down with Angelina Kidjo. That he had a conversation with Angelina Kidjo, and when he finished that conversation with Angelina Kidjo, I don't know if you remember Angelina Kidjo, one of the greatest African artists of all time, and he went back to the studio, changed certain things in his song, and then, now, Angelina Kidjo is the only African that has won. He's one of the guys with the highest number of Grammy Awards as an African. She told him how Grammy committee, the guy that nominates and decide who wins Grammy, how they think and the kind of music they have ears for. And then he went back and changed his song. And that year he won a Grammy for the first time. And I was telling somebody something. And I said, Look at almost all the big brands. As Nigerians, you find the same trend. So at what point did someone like Chimamanda Adichie, right, start becoming a big artist? I hope you guys know that Chinua Achebe used to live in the same house in Nsukka where Chimamanda Adichie's parents lived in. Power of connections. And sometimes connection doesn't have to do with somebody dashing you money or giving you opportunity. Sometimes connection is spiritual. If you hang around very wealthy people, you start to internalize and normalize wealth. Right? You start to internalize and normalize wealth. So one of the first things is mind power. And that mind power, I'm going to break it down to 5 things. One is buoyancy and urgency. Macaulay, please pay attention to this because I really need you to throw more light with I try to give the complex conversations and then you try to simplify them in very basic ways that people can understand. So one is buoyancy, right? Buoyancy is thinking big, talking big, knowing big, right? Thinking big, talking big, knowing big. I mean, I was reading something online about how many women, why they don't have a lot of very wealthy women in Africa or even in Nigeria. I don't know if you know that Nigerian wealth is very disproportionate between gender, male and female. And somebody said something very funny, and please, nobody should attack me from a gender perspective. That an average guy goes to church to pray to be wealthy. An average woman might go to church to pray to meet a wealthy man. I don't really understand how funny that conversation is. Or the amount of women that pray for their husband to make it, instead of to pray for them to make it. Hope you guys know. Just very subconsciously, right? Very subconsciously, right? The energy I use to pray for God to help your husband or help your boyfriend. Some of us is even boyfriend self. Why don't you use that energy to pray for yourself? Like the thought process, I don't know if everybody understands how dysfunctional that thought process is, right? Where they asked 5 people in school, what do you want to be when you grow up? What do you want to grow up? What do you want to grow up? Everybody talk about that. And then one body said, I'm going to be the richest man in the world. And they asked the second girl, what do you want to be when you grow up? The woman said, I want to marry the guy that said he wants to be the richest guy. You see, like that mindset, like some of us have hand-down mentality. And you know when you have hand-down mentality, you are the taker and not the giver. And you know the universe actually rewards the giver, not the taker. So some of us don't think abundance. We don't think giving. We think taking. That is what brings the mentality of what is in it for me. Second one is urgency. A lot of us do not have a sense of urgency. If you see anybody that has a sense of urgency, you know the opposite of urgency is procrastination. Nigeria is a country that is filled with so much procrastination. The way Nigerians procrastinate and now makes it worse because of our religion. You know, we are pro God time is the best. I don't know what God time means in clock. Right? Whatever will be, will be. You see people that have those funny mentalities. Whatever will be, will not be. Whatever will be, you have to make it be. Like, you know, like, it was meant to be. I cannot come and kill myself. You see the terms that we use every day in Nigeria are problems. I cannot come and kill myself. I cannot come and kill myself means if I'm tired, I stop. Meanwhile, the great people say, I'm not going to stop till I'm done. So I've talked about buoyancy. I've talked about urgency. Another thing that people don't think about all the time in mind power and mentality is people that take ownership. Nigerians don't take ownership of problems. We can identify the problem, but we don't take ownership to solve the problem. Even the president of a country will be busy blaming other former presidents for what they should have fixed. I mean, I don't want to make this political. I really don't want to make this political. The president last week went to Jos after they have killed tens of people in Jos. I started the statement with, he got to Jos, didn't enter Jos town where they killed people, didn't go to the village. He stopped at the airport. And his first statement was, you people don't have light in the airport. I need to go back immediately. You people don't have light. Like, he did not say, we don't have light. He did not say, I did not provide light. I don't know if anybody understands how funny that commission is. He took himself out of the problem. Now, una no get light in the airport. Like, you know, consign me as president. Like, so because una no get light, they go back. Like, that statement could have been, I will fix the light in the next few weeks. Right? However, I will stop today. There was no part of solution created in that statement. I don't know if you understand how we think as Nigerians. Then last one is partnership. We think in Lone Ranger as Nigerians. You want to make it by yourself. You know, we want to make it. I went to Lakowe one time and I was the former senator. True story. And Lakowe is such a beautiful place. And you know what the senator said to me first? The senator looked at the place and said, man, I'd like to buy this place. I just thought about it like, Oga, as all of us enjoy this place, you know, like why now you want own wholesale? Like, he didn't think about it, he's going to duplicate it for his people. He wants to buy it at his own private place. Do you guys get like how funny, like how we think? We think of self. We don't think of partnership. We don't think of other people. That's the first leverage. How can you expand your mind? Like, how can you expand your mind? Like, we call it empire state of mind. You know, like that Jay-Z empire state of mind. Like big thinking, big dreaming. Right? I'll probably just stop here, and Bolade and Abigail, maybe Bolade, you could go first. Have you seen the correlation between how people think and the result that they produce? Bolade?
How people think and the results that they produce.
Yeah.
Yes. I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they're talking about how I think at America's peak, at some point between 2015 and 2025, America was printing 13,000 millionaires per year, which is incredible. 13,000 millionaires per year is, I don't know how many millionaires in dollars.
We have 9,000. We have 9,000 millionaires in dollars in Nigeria. Total.
13,000 billion. I can't remember the number.
No. America has 13,000 millionaires in dollars. No, America has, I know America has million millionaires in dollars. Million millionaires in dollars. I don't know how many million millionaires in dollars. Nigeria has only 9,000. That's 0.00025%. I know that data, but go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're minting 13,000 per year,
yeah.
So it means, so in 10 years you've minted 130,000. There's something significant there. But what they attributed this to is that a lot of American startup founders or a lot of American entrepreneurs are making less mistakes and doing more in a shorter time compared to the generation ahead of them. Let me say it again. They are making less mistakes and they are achieving more in a shorter time compared to the generation of similar entrepreneurs ahead of them. Of course.
Before them, you mean?
Ahead of them, yeah. Before them, yeah.
Before them, yes. Before them,
so,
yeah.
So if you think about this, it basically comes down to mentorship. Once you utilize mentorship properly, you're supposed to make less mistakes and move quicker. Unfortunately, mentorship as a mode of business in Nigeria has not been used properly. I think that Nigerians, because of the way our culture is, we haven't really, I think we've abused the concept of mentorship. So on this podcast, what the guy said was that you're not supposed to tell your mentors your problems. You're supposed to tell them your aspirations. Your mentors are not supposed to give you any type of monetary support whatsoever. All they do is basically show you a picture, and you start to align that picture with your picture. And so I think I'll start from there. That I think one of the biggest abuses of how people think in our country is because we're not asking for help quick enough. And when we ask for help, we're not asking for help in the right way. There's nothing wrong with you asking for help from people who have done what you're trying to do. So you can have a mentor when it comes to your interface with politicians or the regulators. You can have a mentor when it comes to your how do you hire. You can have a mentor when it comes to your marriage life. You can have a mentor when it comes to fatherhood. You have a mentor when it comes to how you invest. But again, we aren't built like that. You know, my grandmother used to say this thing in Yoruba. My Yoruba is questionable, so let me not say it in Yoruba. But she used to always tell me that, cover your yam and don't show your yam until it's done. I can't remember, how they say it in Yoruba, but I'm sure some Yoruba people online can say it. And that's just how, culture taught us to Don't say your dreams to somebody because they can steal your idea, or that idea that you have. 100,000 people also probably have that idea, and then I think that, so we're not even shaping the way we think with successful people helping us because we are not interacting with successful people. So yes, the results that we're seeing in entrepreneurship in Nigeria is correlated with that, because you're not getting the right advice from the right successful people, and so there's going to be a lack of results. So I think that's one of the first things that just comes to my mind when it comes to how you think and the people that you're putting in your sphere of influence to help you think
Well,
in a certain way.
so what you said is just so powerful, right? Not having mentors. And let me say one way, if God decides to bless you by grace, abundant grace, is that he sets you up with mentors. I mean, I just saw someone on this chat, and I'm sure she'll be uncomfortable if I mention her name, Auntie Obrima, right? Auntie Yetunde Obrima, I think, right? Okay, so Obrima here. I don't know if it's on Obrima, right?
It's me. Yeah, you're right. Me.
I was in university, or pre-university, that I met two people, Uncle Tunde and Uncle Sheyi. They used to have this thing in Ikoyi called Potter's Outreach, right? I think it was, I'm trying to remember the address. It was McDonald, I think 25B. We were just young people, literally didn't have focus. Just think about it now. But we would go there, they would put us in front of TV, and they'll put TV in front of us, and we would watch John Maxwell's 21 Laws of Leadership. I don't know, Madam Auntie Tunde, remember these memories, right? It was on Tuesdays.
Yeah, you're right. It's 25B McDonald.
Yes, I think you were in Standard Chartered then. And funny enough, I don't know if you know, interesting. We have two ex-Standard Chartered people here. Bolade is Standard Chartered too. Bolade, am I right? You're ex-Standard Chartered. Auntie was also. Auntie, you're still Standard Chartered, right? Right?
Standard Chartered, yeah.
Yeah, Bolade. I don't know if you know Bolade. Bolade.
Bolade.
You know Bolade?
No, I don't know him actually.
Okay, Bolade, you
I was in Standard Chartered. I was in the M&A team in the head office.
In the head office?
Yeah, I was there for about 6 years. I left in 2018.
Yeah. I look familiar.
So I love how
this, but the name does.
Okay, all right, yeah.
But
okay, if you left for UAE, then I probably don't remember you.
Auntie Brima is a big wig in that. But you see how this is getting so practical and so experiential. Those memories, I remember at some point, Auntie, was it you that brought the MD of Standard Chartered to talk to us? You remember? It was Potter's Lounge, right? We now had a smaller youth version. And you know what it is, as a young person in your 20s, having like, they brought Yemi Cardoso to come and speak to us. Yemi Cardoso is current CBN governor. This conversation was us in our 20s. Do you know what it does to the mindset of a 20-year-old? So most of us don't understand that. And I'm back to talking about your children, because some of us have lived almost half of our lives already. Your children, how much you can expose your kids to people who wealth, and let's not reduce this to materialistic wealth. Let's talk about success and impact. That's a better variable. The people who success and impact is so normal too. Some of us, let me tell you one of the factors why we have the lowest number of millionaires in dollars in Nigeria. I mean, look at it. America has 13 million. Nigeria has 9,000 people. Just 9,000. That means the whole millionaires in Nigeria in dollars can be put in a hall in a hotel. That's what it means. That's how small our wealth is. But do you know why? Majority of Nigerians have never had one-on-one impact with very wealthy people. You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked. I'm not talking about people you see on TV. They don't know wealthy people. So how many wealthy people do you know in your circle? Which is the perfect way to talk about something I almost keep talking about. And for people who are just joining, somebody sent me a DM and said, can more people join? Yes, you can. Please share the link with other people. People need to hear this conversation. It's so, so important. And one of the things we started last year in Hexavia, and I'd like to just talk about this just quickly, and I don't know if we have a video to back that up, is why we started our own executive coaching and mentorship class. So this session you are in happens every single week for 12 weeks straight. However, today is an open house. Open house means that every once in 4 weeks, we open up the platform, our Thursday session. The reason why we are doing it on Monday is because the public holiday. We had one on Thursday last week. We couldn't finish, so we had to complete it today. Now, this executive coaching program is not free. Let me say this: it's not free. It's not mentorship is free. Coaching is not free. People don't know the difference between mentorship and coaching. Coaching is a paid service. Executive coaching. I spent 14 years teaching structure and systems and strategy. At least I deserve to be paid for my experience and my knowledge. Business school 3 times was not free, right? But mentorship is free. Now, our executive coaching program is called the Inner Circle. So this is brought to you courtesy of the Hexavia Inner Circle. You are just here today because it is an open house where your members are allowed to bring somebody, just come and have a view. You know how you have like open house in please, if you want to join the Inner Circle, it starts every quarter. We have one starting this Thursday. It's $1,000 for 3 months. I don't know if there's anybody that's been part of the Inner Circle here. Please raise your hands up, right? If you've been a part of it, right? Bimbo Yoshua, I know you've been a very, very active member of the Inner Circle, right? Dr. Alo, right? Do you guys want to share? Aruna, yes. Oh, I have my people here. You guys want to share what that experience has been, right? Because one thing Nigerians don't understand is that this whole idea of trying to figure out life yourself, it makes it harder for you to learn. Because look at what he said, the people, 13 million people are making lesser mistakes. Lesser mistakes because they are hanging on people that have made mistakes before, right? People that have made, sorry guys, give me a second. Just give me a second. My son is crying. Let me see what the problem is. Yeah, sorry, disadvantage of holidays are working from home. I'm really sorry. Right? So are you guys following? So I'm going to do this, right? For everybody here who wants to be part of the Inner Circle, right? I'm going to give everybody, if provided now is $1,000. I want to try out something. Let's even see whether this abundance commission is true. If you want to join the Inner Circle and you are willing to join today, I'm going to give you 50% off, right? Gigi, you have my permission to share the account details. If we get the payment today, you take out 50%. That's you're saving $500. This is only valid for today. Only valid for today. You only pay half of it. Because one of the things I've learned is we put too much pressure on just network. But we don't also, there are 2 variables that must work together for you to be successful. There must be knowledge, that's insights, and there must be network. And I know how this makes Auntie Yetunde feel uncomfortable, but my first ever job as an undergraduate, I mean, I'd worked before being an undergraduate, was given to me by Uncle Tunde. That's Auntie Obrima's husband. That person who he gave me the job, I still remember his name, Bolade, another Bolade, not Bolade, Bolade Adewale, ended up being my mentor when I went back to school. Till today, if I'm stuck, I don't know, Auntie Tunde, I don't know if you remember Bolade, okay, I don't know if you know Bolade, maybe it's Tunde that does.
Is it Ajomale?
Yes, ITSI.
Okay,
right?
it's all right.
Right? Look, the impact of just that one thought. I mean, 3 months. That was when I figured out what I wanted to do myself. Let me tell you how practical it is. I left school. I started to hire first class graduates. Then I entered a crisis. Because I hire only 4.5 CGPAs, and they are young people, they don't last. Now, why don't they last? Most Nigerian schools get scholarship when they make a first class abroad. So people start to leave very often. I mean, I know how painful it is. Like, you hire guys that are straight out of school, blue horns, green horns, and the next thing is that when they've learned everything and they become so client to client, and at type of work, clients become very comfortable with the project managers. They're project managers now. Then they say they're leaving for abroad. I went to Bolade and I told Bolade that this is the crisis I'm having. I'm spending so much time. He looked at me and laughed. And I said, Izu, that's because you're looking at your business like a business. What if your business, right? He says, what if your business was a ministry? Think about it, that one of the calling why God put you on this earth is not just to make money, it's also to raise young people who you let go. He said, normalize letting them go. Normalize letting them go. And he jokingly told me that, Izu, what if I did not even let you go as my staff? My brain just resetted. He said, now what you need to do is create a structure that makes it easy for the new people to jump in. Are you guys listening to me? That was why we started Onboard X. Onboard X today is one of the most disruptive products Hexavia has ever had. You come in the next few minutes, you give you a login details, you go through 3 hours of courses. Every single part of Hexavia has processes. Anybody that's been to our sessions know that, for example, these virtual classes always start with videos. It doesn't matter who is there. They read the process. They take an exam. We normalized it. So what it now did for us is that makes it easy for us to quickly get new people and get new people started. And that became what made us scale really, really fast. I mean, I was telling someone that right now we have clients I've not seen who's paid us, by God's grace, who's paid us a lot of money. I've not seen them. I don't know them. Because we've raised the type of system where we don't have to be involved. If you're a blue horn, you go through our courses for a very short period of time. You can literally take a client project you can think like Izu, literally. At the end of the day, the central ideology's concern is exposure to people who have passed where you're going to pass through. That's why I always tell everybody here, if you're a small business owner, you don't have a board, advisory board, you are shortchanging yourself. Make sense? Right? Gigi,
Yes,
I don't know if you have any confusion around the inner circle just quickly. Oh, Dr. Allo, you want to say something? Go ahead. Your mic is you go ahead.
Yes, I just want to. So I'm in the inner circle, and I really want to encourage everyone. And Mr. Izo and I have not spoken, so this is me just speaking from the depths of my heart. Grab this 50%. I have paid $1,000 before for a 2 days course. This is $1,000, and you'll be in the inner circle for 3 months. And what many times Azu is meant to have finished. He will give us 1 hour extra. What I have learned in the inner circle honestly has been a game changer. Please, this 50% off. He's I think it's maybe it's the ministerial part of him that is just speaking and he's giving. Honestly, grab it. Someone puts in the chat room that if you can please extend it till tomorrow. If he kindly graciously does that, please grab it. There are circles and there are circles. And then there are circles within circles. There's a reason why Peter was able to, for those of us who are Christians, why Peter was able to win so many souls, after their ascension and all of that, and he received power in the upper room. He was within the close circle with Jesus. So this is someone that wasn't very learned like Paul, right? But because of proximity, there is so much to learn in the inner circle. Like, I don't even plan on leaving the inner circle anytime soon. I'm even like, if there's too many people joining us, we have to have executive class, because the inner circle is where it is at. So please grab it. This is a giveaway. This is a total giveaway. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Madam Dr. Allo. To think that you're even still in the circle, I really, and one of the things I've learned is that the difference between us and the next 10 years, the people we meet and the things that we know, I am a huge beneficiary of that. I am a huge beneficiary of access, right? Access. See, somebody gives you money, right? I was with Cosmos Paduka in Singapore a few weeks ago, right? A few months ago. And he said something. He said, look, if I give you 20 million naira, I've cheated you. Why? The guy was talking to, the guy didn't make sense to the guy. I think the guy needed money. He says to the guy, I will give you, he said, no, sorry, please mute your mic. He said, if I give you 20 million, I've cheated you. You know what he gave the guy instead? He gave the guy access to a whole country, his business in a whole country. I says, you'll be the distributor of this product in that country. Do you know that in a few weeks, that guy probably made more than that 20 million? Wow, what is one of the things I see people on the street do all the time? Most of us don't fall into that category here, and that's fine. Where somebody sees you and he's trying to tax you, when he should be asking you for access, right? I was telling somebody something that I've hung around a lot of rich kids, and I've seen the rich kids that are struggling, who all they're waiting for is for their father to die so they can sell all the properties that their father has worked for all their life, and the ones that are becoming very influential. And I said, you know what I've seen the difference is that the rich ones who are very organized, you know what the first job they gave their kids to do? they get their kids to be PA or EA to their friend that is more influential. Let me just make this very practical with a name. I'm sure I don't know if he's here, if he'll be very uncomfortable. Teme Banigo's father, his father is Ibitimi Banigo. He worked as EA to Tony Lumelu. Do you know what carrying back what Tony Lumelu would do? And you know what's funny? The same Tony Lumelu worked for his father almost 30 years ago. You see how life has a full circle moment. Life has a full circle moment, right? Life has a full circle moment. So, guys, I think that that's very important. Now, let's move to the second lever. Remember, there are 5 levers. Branding. You will struggle in marketing if you don't build brand. Let me say that again. You will spend 10 times more money if you don't build brand. So I see people who don't have budget for branding, but have budget for sales and marketing. I know for a lot of people, it looks like it's the same thing. Branding, PRs, advertising, marketing, they're not the same. They're different things. So I'll just tell somebody something. I say something. I say, look, if you get 2 marketers, bank marketers, one works for GT Bank or Zenith Bank, and the other one works for Unity Bank or Keystone Bank, and they are both of the same wavelength in marketing knowledge, who do you think would sell more? Is it the guy in GT or the guy in Unity Bank? Of course, the guy in GT. Why? Because GT has a bigger brand. GT invests more money on branding than they invest, right, on marketing. Meanwhile, Unity can invest more money on marketing than they invest in branding. Do you guys know how much it costs GT to do the GT Food Festival when they are not a restaurant? Do you guys know how much it costs GT to do fashion festival? So maybe in a few minutes, I'll let Macaulay talk about branding and Bolade. Macaulay, what's your perspective? You worked in 2 global brands, in my own opinion, Warner Bros. and Marks and Spencer. Marks and Spencer, even we in Nigeria, we know Marks and Spencer because some of the clothes we buy in Nigeria has Marks and Spencer on them. What would you attribute as one of the biggest variable in the branding of Marks and Spencer?
Yeah.
Macaulay, are you there?
So yes, I am. Right. So with Marks and Spencer, I would say one of the big things for them is that it's quality. Quality is part of their brand. From like, once you think of Marks and Spencer's, you think of what they have to offer, whether it's clothes, whether it's produce, you always attribute Marks and Spencer's with quality. There are so many companies in the UK or across the world that sell exactly what Marks and Spencer's sell, but the quality is different. And over the years, it hasn't gone down. It's like consistent. They're consistent with their quality, and that is something that makes Marks and Spencer so marketable. Like, although the price point can be a bit steep, but the quality doesn't change. And even when they try to make it competitive, the quality still doesn't change.
And it's good you went off the tangent, because when people think of branding, they think of, in Nigeria, what we call branding is a synonym for packaging. We call it packaging. Please, guys, packaging is not branding. Packaging is that you cannot speak English, you're speaking Fune. You at least speak English, good English first. Syntax and semantics of grammar, you must know it first. You have H factor, and then you don't add Fune on top of your H factor. Pronounce words first before you do, right? I was in my child's inter-house sport last 2 weeks, and I hope one of the teachers are not here. And one lady was doing the MC, and she had so much H factor, was speaking fake Fune. I had to jokingly ask one of the teachers, I said, what does this person do for you guys? Is he your teacher? I said, yes. I said, what does he do for you in the school? He said, he teaches phonetics. I wanted to remove my child from that school. I said, what? You're speaking phonetics? How? You're teaching phonetics? How? Packaging is not what something looks like. Packaging is how it works. I know people say, oh, Apple is packaging. But to be honest with you guys, Apple is quality. right? Apple is quality. You know, I went to church yesterday. I was leaving, right? And just when I was leaving, I'd moved out. I'd moved out. I was entering my car, and then my iWatch just went an alarm. I said, You've left your phone behind. You've left your phone behind." Guy, I was blown away. Like I never knew that feature exists in an iWatch, right? And I technology is not hard now. iWatch, they're both connected. When I left my phone in church, right? You already knew when I moved a few meters away. It just alarm just came up on my watch. I said, "You've left your phone away. You've left your phone away." I just went back and picked up my phone. I would have lost over 1 million naira yesterday. That's what it means. That is branding. Because everybody thinks about branding, I think about logo, color, slogan. Branding is, what did you think about me before you joined this session? If you've never heard about me, now what are you thinking about me now? And what are you thinking about me later? If there's no consistency with those 3 moments of truth, there are 3 moments of truth. 3 moments of truth. One is what people think about you before they meet you. 2, what people think about you as they interact with you. And 3, what people think about you after they leave you. When those 3 moments of truth is not consistent, you are debranding yourself. Another moment of truth, another thing you must understand about branding is identity. Great brands are easy to identify. Great brands are easy to identify. I mean, if you see an iPhone, there's no part of the iPhone that they wrote an iPhone, just the logo alone, you will know it. If they blindfold you and they give a bottle of Coke to taste, you know it's Coca-Cola, won't you? That is identity. So I don't want us to always think of branding as aesthetics. That's what most brand people just talk about. Oh, aesthetics, color, slogan. It's experience. The real branding is experience, right? Bolade, I don't know if you want to throw more light on how in your years of valuing businesses, because you do a lot of valuations, you do a lot of conversations around equity raise, right? How do they arrive on how much a company is worth? You know, people don't realize that when they say, and I was a part of a business that sold a few years ago. I was a consultant to, and he's one of the guys I consider one of the king of retail. Nobody really talks about him a lot. People don't know him. He's a very quiet guy. The guy that owns iFitness. You know, I was talking to somebody about him. His name is Felicia, a very good friend of mine. And I was saying that I saw Felicia run a small shop that sold phones. I saw how he acquired the franchise for slots when Slot Mobile came. I saw him sell off that slot franchise and the whole inventory and the whole business, walked away with hundreds of millions, right? And invested that thing in gym, and today became iFitness. But I also saw him raise money from Cardinal Stone. I also saw him exit Cardinal Stone into Verod Capital, right? Right? And when you look at how he values and how they pay him, and there's a lot of valuations that goes on. I'm going to ask you just directly, Bolade, please confirm you can hear me. How do we value, what's the impact of a brand in valuing how much a brand is worth? I remember when Gillette was acquired by Procter & Gamble, it was for like 27 billion, but the actual balance sheet was like maybe 8 billion, about 7 billion. So that means 20 billion extra was on the branding. Is there any calculation that you use, Bolade, to determine how much brand power adds to the valuation of a business, both from the customer's perspective and also from the investor's perspective? Bolade?
Yeah, thank you. So, brand power in our side of the world, because the brands that we have right now, they haven't successfully transcended beyond borders and are making multiple millions in different markets. So Gillette is a very good example, but it's far from, the common day. Gillette, I think, was a Procter & Gamble brand, and Gillette
was acquired by Procter & Gamble.
Gillette has made billions of dollars in revenues in several continents and several markets. So that's far. Let's now look at ourselves in Nigeria. Which Nigerian brands have made millions of dollars in several countries? The only ones you can think of have already been priced in by the stock market, which is the Nigerian banks. Nigerian banks are one of the only Nigerian companies that you are proud of being an African when you go to East Africa or Southern Africa. When you see how Zenith Bank is positioned, Access Bank is positioned, and the values of those banks have been priced in for that brand. So let's quickly differentiate popularity and branding. Popularity doesn't mean there's an intangible assets. So the valuation that Izu spoke of is valued on the balance sheets. The balance sheet has assets and liabilities. So for an intangible asset, it's basically something that you own that can make you money in the future. I, as an investor, can only put a value on that if there's a track record of making money using that same asset historically. If you're popular and there's no track record of using that brand to make money, you don't have a brand. You just have popularity. Gillette or the Nigerian banks have a brand because those things are generating profits in different markets. So what I would like to challenge us as entrepreneurs today is your brand as a business. How many distinct markets is it making money? It doesn't have to be internationally. If you look at your market, even just start from island and mainland. Just start from island and mainland if you're Lagos based. Where is your brand? Does your brand consistently travel between the island and the mainland, and quality is delivered, and there's now a track record of delivering revenues in a profitable manner? That is how, branding, that's how I see branding if you want to value it as an asset. Today, if Verod is going to sell their stake in Money Point, their stake in iFitness, there must be a question asked. If they put the iFitness logo on a random gym's logo, will it add to that gym's visibility in a profitable manner? The answer is yes. It means iFitness has built an intangible asset called a brand. So if you're selling food and I'm selling food, if they take my name away and put your name on it, does it optimize the value that I'm delivering? If the answer is yes, you're onto something. So there's a big difference between popularity and branding as an intangible asset that can add to the sum of the parts when they are valuing your business. But there are also some businesses that are designed not to be popular. Let me give you an example of the place I work. I work for Kuramo Capital. In total, we manage about just under $1 billion in assets under management that we've been managing from 2012 till now. I just went on our YouTube page. We have less than 1,000 subscribers. We have less than 1,000 subscribers. Our staff count right now is only 23. If you include all our alumni, people that have worked and passed through the business, I think it's less than 100. But where it gets interesting, that if you follow the money that we've invested across Africa, we've impacted over 600,000 lives. And we've impacted over 1 million lives, and we've created over 600,000 jobs with 200 investments across 54 countries. We don't need to be popular. We're a private equity fund. The name is on the can, private. It's a private equity fund. But let me tell you what is interesting as you start to rise up the ranks in that type of business. The branding is not really in the name of the business, although that has something to hold, but it's in the people. And so, what I mean in the people, if you Google your name, so I don't just let me take a random name on this chat. If I Google Abdul Kabir Abubakar, that is a personal brand. What can I see online to give me credibility and gravitates me towards trusting you quicker? So you have to ask yourself that question. So I'm the billionaire solar man. What content or what articles, they call it thought leadership. What thought leadership is online, authored by me or discussed by me, that when somebody that doesn't know me from Adam sees it, they don't have to like me, but they put some respect on my name that I have credibility in my industry. For a brand like Kuramo, we don't need our brand to be popular, but we need the guys in the fund who are trying to talk to AFDB to help them manage $80 million, talk to MasterCard to help them manage $100 million. When they Google my team, they need to see something credible about my team members and what we are doing. So I think I'll just pause there for now.
I love the angle that you bring all the time, Bolade, and it's so interesting that you mentioned two things, and I'll throw more light on them. Branding is about impact. Branding is to take out your name and put it somewhere else. If you take a random car called Jincha in China, and let me say that Jincha in China, if you bring it to Nigeria today, is, let me say, $4,000. All right, or 6.5 million, very low grade car. I'm just using an example. I'm not sure there's any car that cheap. And you remove that Jinchan logo and you put a Benz logo on it. Will it increase or reduce the amounts? I think that's a question we all can ask ourselves. That thing you sell, if they remove your logo and put on that person's logo, will it increase or reduce? That thing somebody else is selling, if they remove your logo and put your logo, I love that. I love that analogy. And I think that that's a question everybody needs to ask, especially people who are in tangibles, products. I remember a few years ago, and I was happy that we won this battle. There was a company I sat on the board for almost a decade. You guys will know it, New Age, power bank chargers and cable. Before then, they'll go to China, they'll produce stuff, and they'll just put a name on it. They can put LG charger, Philip charger, Samsung charger. And I'm like, why don't you just put your own name on it? Now, where it gets interesting is you put your name on it, it looks like it's cheaper for you to just put another name on it. And that's the thing. People want to take the easy route. I said, now there are things that make a brand become a brand, apart from value and logo. One of them is associations. So for somebody here who is thinking that if I put my name on it, people will not buy. What if you put your name on it and associate it with something that they're already buying? Are you guys following me? For example, when we put New Age on the chargers, we put the chargers next to JJ Okocha. And we took JJ Okocha and the charger and put him next to Don Jazzy. And it went viral. In Alama International, everybody was saying, oh, give me JJ charger, give me JJ charger. JJ Okocha in the 90s and 2000 was the most identifiable Nigerian. I'm not sure a lot of people here will say who is JJ Okocha, except maybe Gen Zs. I don't know whether you know JJ Okocha. You guys are Osime generation. But you've got to remember that brand drop off on brands. And I've been held hostage for this before. I've been attacked on this before, and I really don't mind, and I really don't care. Where people say, come and speak at an event, and I say, can you give me more detail of the event? And then the venue or the type of people determines whether or not my price will go high or go low. And I'll let tell people, look, if you tell me to come and speak at Transcorp, I can charge you $4,000, right? If you tell me to come and speak at Alagbado, I will charge you $6,000. People are wondering why? I'm like, because brand drop off on brands. The brand drop off. If I'm going to decline my brand positioning, then you have to pay me for the compensation for it. And the same person can still go and speak somewhere else for lower price because of the quality of the people that are there. And once again, this is not valid for everybody. It depends on what you do. I'm talking about this in relation to personal brand. The only thing more important than what you ever sell is what you make the buyer believe that he's buying. That's the second thing, perception. For you to build a brand, you must satisfy three things. You must satisfy identity, one. You must satisfy consistency, two. And you must satisfy unique value. Don't be better, be different. Don't be better, be different. The role is not to be better. The role is to be different. I mean, if you can be better and different, then that's good, right? GT didn't come into the market trying to be the best bank. They came into the market trying to be the different bank, and they succeeded. At least the OP and Money Point came. They were just different. Where everybody was doing blue, logo blue, Access Bank, logo blue, Intercontinental logo blue, all of them blue. And then the ones that were not blue were red. Right? UBA, red, Sterling Bank, red, this one red, that one red. They just came, created their own color. What color was it again? Orange. Which bank has the color as orange? Are you guys following? Everybody has got to think of uniqueness. What is unique about you? What is unique from your name, from your name? I was telling somebody, I can bet you that if you search for Izu or Hexavia online, you are going to see my name as number 1 or number 2. And it's not because I'm popular. It's even the way I chose the both names. I'm sure Xavier is not a popular name. I'm sure Izu with an EO, not IZU, is not a popular name. Start from the basic, minute details. Be different. Just be different, guys. Be different in what you are selling. Then be unique. Then be consistent. A lot of us are not consistent. Look at Bolade. I've known Bolade for the past 10 years. Bolade has stayed in the same industry, has rose to become like top 3 guys in their industry. Imagine Bolade today was in retail. Tomorrow, Bolade has joined oil and gas. Next tomorrow, Bolade, and you just and that's what most of us are doing. We're doing too many things at the same time. You've got to just stay focused in the same thing. Build your brand around that thing. Now let's talk about the third one. Are you guys following? If you're following, what's the first lever and what's the second lever? Can you please type it out just quickly? Before I go to the third one, which is where I really want to talk about a lot more, is around financing, because a lot of people don't understand how powerful external funding, what you call OPM, other people's money, does in business. A lot of us don't realize that until you are ready to either talk to a VCPE, either debt or equity financing, you're not going to go far. The guys who are making 10 times the money that you're making, they're making that money because they have capital injection. I mean, look at what has happened with people like iFitness. If they try to use their own money to set up gym, they will not be on their 29th gym. But what must you do before you collect other people's money? So you don't collect other people's money that will give you heart attack because you can't pay them back. Because there's some things you must get right. There are rule of thumbs before you collect people's money. Before you now say, you should collect loan, you got to collect bank loan. I will not be there to pay the money with you. When they start to chase you, I'll come and carry you. There are certain things that you must understand before that happens. But we're going to go for a quick commercial break. I'd like to invite you guys to a physical breakfast session on Saturday of this new week, 11th of April. Gigi, please, can you confirm that we have the video on? You guys know me. I've spent the last 14 years building businesses. We're behind over 600 firms. My first degree is mathematics. I'm currently doing my PhD. I have a PMP, 3 master's degree, 600 plus scars from 600 successfully structured businesses. Right? I was just saying that I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to call the book Phoenix. And you guys know the story of Phoenix, the bird that rises from the ash. Just how we'll be able to take struggling businesses and make them big, very big brands. I want to share some of those thoughts this week, on the 11th. If you want to be a part of that, my colleagues will reach out to you, right? Remember, if you're part of the inner circle, you don't have to pay for the breakfast session. If you're a paid member of the inner circle, paid members of the inner circle, that people who are inner circle by automatic because they're my clients. So let me say how Hexavia works. And let me tell you guys the hack. You might learn something from this, how Hexavia works. For you to be able to scale a business, there must be 3 things that must happen. 1, you must build a great brand and a great product. First step. 2, you must build great distribution. And then 3, you must build ecosystem. So how we've created all the product lines in Hexavia, they're all connected. So if you're our clients, you automatically, CEO of our clients automatically get membership to our inner circle. Right? So we have 3 main product lines in Hexavia. We have corporate structuring and restructuring. That's first product line. We have events, breakfast sessions and master classes, second product line. And then we have the executive coaching programs and mentorship, third program. Now, the 3 of them are all circled in a web. If you're a CEO of a client that we consult for, your CEO and a +1 get automatic membership to our executive coaching program. Now, if you're not our client and you want to be an executive coaching program, you pay $1,000. Please, all people asking me is today, I did not say tomorrow. Tomorrow, you pay your complete $1,000. Wisdom would be if you can do a deposit and then pay tomorrow for people. I don't know why somebody cannot do transfer with 700,000, but that's by the side. One of the key things I've learned is you've got to build a business where everything is revolving all together. I was telling someone that one of the biggest brands in the world is LVMH. You guys know this LVMH guys. They do Louis Vuitton. They do Moet. They do Hennessy. They own the biggest clubs and the biggest hotels. It's like you go to the hotels, they're selling you Hennessy, and you wear your Louis Vuitton to go to the hotel. At the end, everybody there, one person still gets the alert. You buy an iPhone, then after an iPhone, you buy an iWatch, then you buy a MacBook. All the iMac, iPhone, iWatch, all enters their one person's pocket. You've got to have a business that all your ecosystem. And I was talking to somebody last week about this during the session when the guy said he's trying to raise money for a pharmaceutical business. I said the first guys to go to where try to raise money for pharmaceutical is the hospitals, the big hospitals, because it's part of their ecosystem. You buy drugs in the hospital, so the hospital can invest so that the drugs, they own it. There's a guy that has this model. There's a Igbo guy in Nigeria who owns a brand called Lonat. Lonat is one of the most popular malaria drugs. He also owns one of the biggest hospitals in Nigeria, Green Life. He also owns one of the biggest diagnostic center clinics. Do you guys see? And the logistics, he owns Chisco. Like, you see how you've created the whole ecosystem together. At some point, let all your product lines become a web and let them all meet. So this weekend, you're invited to the Breakfast with Izu. It's an intensive session from 8 a.m. to 1 afternoon. So we're going to do breakfast brunch there, right? Buffet style for CEOs. Gigi, please can you confirm how much it is? I don't know how much it is now, right? If you want to be a part of it, please drop your number, right? Why am I so much in the mood for giveaways today? Let me hold myself back. Right, I was going to give a discount for people that make payment today, but just look at the video and see whether it's something you want to be a part of. Over to you, Gigi. The spending this year should be more capex driven than opex driven. You guys get it now? OPEX is operational expenditure, CAPEX is capital expenditure. Only you spend to guarantee bigger money next year. How you know that you're making tangible progress is when your investment is making more money than your business.
It was absolutely amazing. This was my first time, but this is my first time. I mean, I have been seeing the videos as well as I've had conversations with you, so I'm not surprised. But what I would say is I got more than I actually expected. Because one of the things I learned here today is you might know something, but it's not in front of you, and you don't know that that's the problem.
If you're going to grow and be part of that, people that are going to leverage your 4.4% growth rate, you've got to quickly remove hard work from your dictionary. This is not the year to work harder. You're working too hard to succeed. You've got to find a way to see how you can get a good manager that can work hard for you. But some of the hard work you're saying is manager work you're doing. CEOs and Nigerian CEOs do GM work and they think it's CEO work. GM work is firefighting, is managing resources. That's not your work. The highest paid guy in your company has got to be your GM. The best guy has got to be your GM.
Economic Outlook 2026.
Breakfast with Izu.
Yeah. So yes, we have the breakfast sessions. Gigi, how much is it now?
So yeah, good morning, everyone. Can everyone hear me loud and clear?
Yes, we can.
All right. So the cost is 350,000 for single, 1.2 for a corporate, then 200,000 for virtual. But we're giving a 20% discount, valid for today and tomorrow. So so you might want to actually take that opportunity. Send your phone number. The team will reach out to you to close, or you can also I will also send an account number you can make payment to. Then with a phone number, you can also send the proof of payment, and we'll also reach out to you immediately. We confirm that as well.
All right, thank you so much. So I'm looking forward to seeing most of us. The breakfast sessions is highly worth the time. Network strategy. Talk about consistency. We've been doing this for years. Every single month we do breakfast sessions for CEOs, and there was something I want to talk about later, but if we have time to talk about that. Now let's talk about financing, right? Financing. Bolade, this is your core, right? Finance. I really wish there was a board for people to understand this. And let me suggest for everybody here who's a CEO, Bolade, please confirm that you're here with us. Macaulay, please confirm you're here with us. A lot of people shortchange themselves because they read courses in school that were not finance related, and then they started a business, and then they know everything about the business apart from finance. I always suggest to everybody here that everybody should take a course on accounting or finance. I mean, you'll be shocked how many Nigerians that don't know the difference between gross profit and net profits, EBITDA, financial leverage, operational leverage. A lot of people can read P&L, a lot of people can read balance sheets, a lot of people can read cash flow statements. A lot of people don't even know how equity works, share pricing, and all that. Balade, in like a few minutes, can you just explain the 101 of financing? What every CEO must basically know if they want to expand their business, because every business is measured by the same variable. According to Harvard, the ultimate measurement of every business is on 4 variables, and we call it the balance scorecard. The balance scorecard says the same way your health, everybody's health is measured by the same variable. If you want to know whether you're healthy, there are like 4 or 5 things that a doctor will check. If you're healthy, those 5 things should be on point. If you say you're healthy and those 5 things, 3 is bad, and you're still standing, it's just a matter of time, you're going to fall. Health-wise, your blood pressure, your sugar level, your heartbeat, your temperature, and your body mass index. Am I right? If you're overweight, you're not healthy. If your heartbeat is too high, your pulse level is too high, you're not healthy. Or too low, you're not healthy. If your sugar level is too high, that is the equivalent. The equivalent of that it's called vitals in healthcare, in hospital, or as a human being. In business, the equivalent of that is called the balance scorecard. We are measured by 4 variables: structure, innovation, experience, and finance. But let's isolate finance, because remaining other 2 leverage, I'll talk about them in structure. Bolade, in a few minutes, 101 of corporate finance and accounting that every CEO must know so they don't shortchange themselves.
It's not easy to put it in those basic buckets that you know, or like KPIs for temperature check, because the honest truth is that every business is different. But what's even more alarming in this, and it's a positive thing if you want it to be, permit me to speak pidgin. No, be everybody's source of capital will be the same.
But I don't do that. You cannot speak pidgin English. You you cannot speak pidgin. How can you be speaking pidgin when you cannot?
Just leave me. Let me continue. I think I'm getting into flow.
Pidgin English from Parkview Estate, Ikoyi.
Whatever. So cost of capital is not the same, and so it's hard to say there's no one size fits all for businesses. But for me, and I wish I knew this earlier in my life, your business is not a successful business until the money that you used to start it, you paid yourself back and it's still running. So there's something that I call ALE, A-L-E, assets plus liabilities equals equity, or liabilities plus equity equals assets. But the point I'm trying to make mathematically is that the money in your business was taken from somewhere to finance your business. It was either you borrowed money from yourself, you as the founder, you borrowed money from yourself, or you took money from investors, or you took debt from somewhere. Your business is not successful yet until all of those are paid back and your business can still run. So people tell me that, I see startups, on average, we see over 1,000 startups a year at Kuramo. And, we see people come to say that, oh yeah, we have MVP. I'm sure you've heard that acronym a lot. I hate it. MVP, they say we have market viable products. And funny enough, the meaning of market means there's demand and supply. So it means that what you're telling me is that you have asset liability equals equity. Or so you can move the L to the other side and have assets equals liability equals equity. But let me jump back in. Your business is financed by either debt or equity. The debt can be given to you. You took the debt from yourself, from your mom, from your dad, your wife, your husband, whatever it is, or from a bank. It's either debt or equity. But you don't have market viable product until those things are accounted for in your product. So until you're able to sell, so say for example, what I sell is this mouse. Until I'm able to create this mouse using asset, liabilities, and equity and sell one unit of this mouse and all those things are serviced, this mouse is not yet ready for the market. It can be selling, but it's not an MVP. The MVP is achieved when you have a net after the expenses that it costs to create the mouse. But a lot of times, people, there's nothing wrong if your business is in the journey of becoming MVP, but you're not MVP until you can do your business profitably. You can't do your business profitably until all your sources of financing are being accounted for. But it is okay to be in that journey. What irks me or what does us disservice is saying that we are at the end of that journey, but we are not yet at the end. So in a good example, they said I should use a small business for this example. So let me take a business that exports recycled plastic pellets to the UAE, which I'm guessing some people here do actually. So they put grassroots collectors of plastics on the streets. Those guys collect, you pay them, I don't know how much, but you pay them something small, and you have a machine that does, so you have human beings that does the sorting. You have a machine that then does the compressing and sort of like the grinding. And then you have another machine that does the bagging. You have a scale, and then you ship those pellets to the ports, and you export those pellets as inputs for people to use in the Middle East, XYZ, XYZ. If that's your entire value chain, now, if from what I've said, the biggest cost there was the machine that you acquired to be able to compress and blend those plastics. The machine that you've used to blend and compress those plastics, how did you get the money to buy it? If you took it from your savings, you borrowed the money from yourself. If you took a loan from it for it, basically, your source of financing has to be accounted for. Now, if you started shipping those pellets in small doses, and for example, it cost you 10,000 naira per, I don't want to say per metric ton, per kilogram to get those pellets meshed and whatever, and you're selling it for 20K, it looks like you've made a profit of 10,000 naira, right? If you can't pay yourself back for the cost of that machine, you don't have MVP yet. So you're on a journey, but you don't have MVP yet. Same for me now. If I take $20,000 from my savings and I start giving it out as loans to people that, you know, how people like loan sharks, and I don't want to use the word shark, but I start giving it out as loans. And I'm telling people that I borrowed them, I took the money from myself, and I'm now loaning it out at, say, 10% a month. That money, if I put it 10% a month, is 120% a year. If I put that money in treasury bills, I probably have gotten 25, let's just say 20% for easy maths. So it means that the cost of that money to me is 20%. My profit is not 120%. My profit is actually 100%, but that's not even my net profit. I'm supposed to make what we call provisions. So again, every industry is different, but when you're in the money lending business, you're supposed to make provisions for bad loans. If I make those provisions, it takes about 10%. And you start accounting for all these things, and you see that your net profit is probably less than 30%. The mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make, and that's why their businesses don't stay sustainable for a long time, is that they haven't factored in the cost of that capital that they've used to do their business. And for me, when you ask me what's the quickest KPI to look at, what's my true net position? If I sell this thing today, how much did I make? How much did it cost me to sell it? What's my real profits? So I think I'll pause there for now. I don't want to get too technical, but you have to account for the money that you used to start that business. And if that money was given to you, there's people that say half of the fashion brands in Lekki Phase 1 that they got the money from questionable means, this, that, the other. That's your business. But you could have used that money to buy 5 Birkin bags. You could have used that money to buy a Range Rover. Or you could have put that money in treasury bills. And so minimum cost to you is the 20% that you would have earned in treasury bills. So price that money in first before you say you're profitable. Easy. You are not nodding, so I'm sure that there's a lot I need to untangle, but I'm happy to take questions.
Sorry. Oh, I thought I didn't know.
Yeah, muted, sir, if you're speaking.
So, one of the interesting things Bolade just did is, I love how you inverted what break-even analysis is, right? And I love this. My first degree is mathematics. I love when people do reverse engineering. In math, you can solve it from the front to the back or from the back to the front. You still get your answer, right? That's why in mathematics, remember in my secondary school, they can tell you equation, they can tell you to prove that an answer is correct. That's from back to front and front to back. I love what you did with the break-even analysis. A lot of people go to raise money. And let me say this. If you're a very small business, try to avoid loan financing or banks for startup. Use loan for expansion. Let me say that again. Use loan for expansion, not for startup, because the risk is too high for a startup. Most times you will not pay back. You see, a lot of things are assumptions till the market starts. I mean, one of my favorite quotes is Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson says in boxing, everybody has a plan until you get the first punch. Once you get the first punch, all your planning has stopped, right? Most of the time, everybody assumes that there's a ready market for what they're doing until you open the shop. Whenever you open that shop, first 1 week, if your family and friends will buy, it will hype you to say, people are buying, people are buying. Then when family and friends buy just to show solidarity, then the reality of what you are doing now shows up. So one thing people have to realize is that you use your business, you use money from other people's means, especially loan. For equity, use equity for starting, use debt for expansion. Like Bolade said, there are 2 forms of financing. There's equity financing and debt financing. Debt financing means that the person that gave you money does not share risk with you. Whether the business fails or not, you will pay. If I give you money as loan, you will pay me back. No matter, I don't want to hear the grammar. You will pay me back. If you don't have to pay me back, I'm ready to come to your house and stand up. I want to carry your mattress. And I'm legally binded. But that's the type of financing you should avoid so you don't have high blood pressure at a very young age. You use Dangote. Dangote now can collect bank loan because he's trying to expand refinery. Did you guys notice what happened to Dangote? He did a lot of equity financing, right? When he was building, even federal government gave him money on equity, not on debt. To start, the uncertainty is high. Because the uncertainty is high, you take a business that has lower risk to the buyer, and lower risk to the buyer lower risk to the seller is equity, right? Then I love what you did, but the actual formula for break-even analysis is fixed cost over contribution minus fixed cost over sales minus contribution per unit. It sounds technical. You might not understand it until you understand 4 things I want every CEO to understand. For you to understand finance and how to leverage your finance, because leverage in finance has 2 types of leverage. There's operational leverage and there's financial leverage. Both of them are both financial terms. Now, but before you understand financial leverage and operational leverage, you must understand some concepts. Concept of cost, concept of revenue, concept of profits, concept of saving, and concept of investment. Those 5 concepts, you must know them One, concept of cost. In business, there will always be cost, what you call expense. Cost is broken down into different categories of cost. There's the first category called fixed cost versus variable cost. Fixed costs are those costs that it does not increase by the number of use. For example, your rent is fixed cost. If you pay a rent of 10 million naira, whether one person is sleeping in that house or 10 people sleeping in that house, your rent does not change. Am I right? So you guys get it. Fixed cost is a cost that if you pay children's school fees, your child's school fees is the school fees. Whether your child went to school every day or not go to school every day, they're not going to reduce you don't pay your child's school fees based on how many days you went to school now. That's fixed cost. So you guys understand fixed cost. Variable cost is a cost that increases per usage. I don't know if it makes sense, right? So I like to use an example of a la carte versus buffet for fixed cost and variable cost. When you go to a restaurant, Eco Hotel, and you order food as buffet, that's fixed cost. Whether you take one apple out of 100 apple or you take 30 apple, if there are 100 apple in the basket and they charge you 50,000 Eco Hotel to eat food, whether you like take one apple, they still charge you 50,000 naira. If you like take 10 out of the 100 apple, they still charge you. That's fixed cost. Now, variable cost is what happens when you enter the restaurant where there's no buffet and you buy food. If you want extra food, you pay for extra food. But you know, a buffet, you can stand up several times. Hope you guys understand it. Now, a lot of business people don't know the difference between fixed cost and variable cost. And I'll tell you why it's important. So let me see whether you guys are following this. I'm going to randomly ask the billionaire solar man. I don't know who that is. Salary fixed cost or variable cost? I got billionaire solar man because I can see your face. Let me see whether everybody's following fixed cost and variable cost. One increases by unit use, the other one is not increased by unit use. Fixed cost or variable cost. The salary you pay your staff. Cost or variable cost
is a fixed cost, sir.
Okay, fantastic. Now I'll put you on the spot. I'll put you in more spots. Now, the diesel you use for your office, is it fixed cost or variable cost?
Sorry, you said the word, I didn't get that.
Diesel you use to run your gen, is it fixed cost or variable cost?
That is a variable cost because it's per use. I have to pay per use.
Fantastic. So fixed costs versus variable costs. You must understand that concept. Now, let me tell you where it gets very interesting and people don't understand this. This is very high level corporate financing, but I'm trying to explain it in the most simple way why I'm using this because people don't really understand what's going on in Nigeria, right? Nigeria is an interesting place, right? So operational leverage is the type of business model where okay, I don't know which one to use first. Operational leverage. Operational leverage is the type of business where you have mastered the art, right, of using fixed cost over variable costs. So operational leverage is when your business has high fixed costs. Remember, fixed cost has a threshold. Operational leverage, fixed cost has a threshold, a ceiling. Variable cost does not have a threshold or a ceiling. Right? If I've paid you for rent, I've paid you for rent. So let me give you an example. The guy that has two houses next to each other, each of them is 10 million naira each. Mr. A and Mr. B are going to take the place. Mr. A pays 10 million for the space. Mr. B pays 10 million for the space. Mr. A and B have paid 10 million fixed costs. Now, what is financial leverage? Operational leverage. Operational leverage is the guy out of the two that realized that because I've paid 10 million naira, right, I can throw as much party and charge people for each of the day. That means the guy paid 10 million naira, now throws a party that he charges people, each person that comes to that party, 10K. And 10K, now look at this, so 10K in a day for 10 people to come to the party. Now let's do a math. Let me bring out my calculator. Let me show you guys something. He charges 10 people 10K. And let's just hypothetically assume that he throws party every single day. That's 10,000 naira times 10 people times 365 days. He paid 10 million naira. Can you guys see what I got in my calculator? He made 36 million naira from paying 10K. This is called operational leverage. That's the guy that does more with fixed costs. Are you guys following? Now, a lot of people don't understand the genius in this. So I just played that trick on you guys now. Do you guys notice that I was able to give a 50% discount? Because whether one person comes or 10 people come, it's still the same thing I will say. Do you guys notice it? So what I did right now is operational leverage. If one person comes for inner circle, it's virtual. The same thing I'm saying to one person, the same thing I'm saying to 10 people. There's no extra cost on one person coming. The same data I will use. But if it was a physical, do you guys notice that I did not give discount, right? For breakfast with Izu. Did anybody notice it? Because if more people come for breakfast, Echo Hotel will charge me more. Do you guys understand it now? A lot of Nigerian businesses don't understand this. So Nemeka Chukudi in Alaba International don't understand this sometimes. So let me tell you one business that is very interesting. Very, very interesting. Is this gym business. Gym business uses operational leverage a lot. The gym, the setup cost is already high. Mostly fixed costs. A lot of setup costs are fixed costs. Remember, there's working capital. What you call working capital is literally a lot of variable cost. Remember, fixed cost, variable cost. So operational leverage is how you can optimize your capex, otherwise called fixed cost. Sometimes capex is not fixed cost, but let's just call capex fixed cost. Most of the time, capex is fixed cost, right? Bolade, please remind me or correct me if there's any part of this off the tangent, but I do want you to bring real life example. So that's why the brilliance of a gym is the gym has spent 50 million to buy equipment. What the gym now needs to do is to make sure that more people come, because if 4 people come, it's still the same amount. 50 people come, it's still the same amount most of the time. It's the same diesel you will burn to run the treadmill, whether somebody's on it or somebody's not on it. Out of 4 treadmill, that 2 people are on it, 2 people are not there. So I want everybody to understand that leverage in business comes from how much you can leverage on fixed costs and not variable costs. The real term is economy of scale. That's why bigger brands will always beat smaller brands in pricing. That's why I always laugh when a small business tries to be cheaper than a big business. I say, oh, guy, are you sure you know what you're doing? Once you're a smaller business, you most likely cannot be cheaper than the big business most times, because your fixed cost is not equal to your costs. Let me give you guys a good example. Do you guys understand why people like Dangote are so rich? Because they have high capex and they have a lot of money to play with. Now, another concept you must understand, there's another concept called direct and indirect cost, but that one will get complex. Let's not go into that. Direct cost and indirect cost is also how you decide on how one guy can do more than one work, right? Because some costs are direct, some costs are indirect. Then there's another concept called revenue, and everybody knows what revenue is. Revenue is sales. Sales is quantity times price. Everybody knows that. But let me say where people get it wrong. When people calculate their profits, what they're really calculating is gross profit and not net profit. But the real devil is in the detail called net profit. Now, what is net profit? Let me just run you through it. In P&L, and please let me say this, because of time, I'm not going to go into this in detail, but everybody here must learn how to do it. If you are in the inner circle, you know we have a whole week where we talk about finance for non-finance executives. I want everybody here to be able to build the type of business model where their gross profit margin is at least 60% and their net profit margin is at least 20%. So let me say this here. If you run a business where your gross profit margin is not up to 60%, what it means is that if you bought something to sell for 100,000 naira, when you sell it, you must be selling it at least 140 to 160,000 naira. That's your gross profit margin. Because that's your revenue, that's your difference. So this is when I just get it wrong. I bought it at 100K, I sold it at 160K, so therefore my profit is 100K, 60K, 160K. So my profit is 60K. Am I right? Now, you're wrong. Your profit is not 60K. Your gross profit is 60K. Remember, you have not added salary. You have not added rents. You have not added stealing. And in Nigeria, let me say this, every Nigerian business should put in their calculation stealing as a cost. Because in Nigeria, standard structure, they will steal, except you're not going to be big. Nigerian business, whatever you're selling, just assume that somebody will scam you. If your customers does not steal, your employees will steal. You know, we live in a country where if somebody works in a bakery, when he's going home, His parents and his family members and his siblings will ask him, bring bread, come back. Bring bread, come back. They don't think about it as stealing, They think that naturally you should bring bread home. They don't call it stealing, but it's stealing. A lot of businesses, and let me say this here, for me that always put small amount of money in startups, what I look out for is gross profit and net profit margin. If your gross profit margin is not 60%, I'm not putting my money in it. Because if you make 30%, by the time you add salary, add rent, add other things, it probably will drop to minus. That's a loss already. Then stealing. Make sense? Then let me say this lastly, and Bolade, I need your view on this. For a lot of people here, they don't understand that revenue minus cost equals gross profit. Gross profit minus all expenses, admin, general, and operating, gives you EBITDA, earning before interest, tax, deduction, and amortization. Then minus that with tax, because people even forget that tax rate in Nigeria. What is tax rate currently now? Bolade, please, can you confirm? What's Nigeria tax rate? 30% for big businesses, 20% for small businesses. Am I right? What's Nigeria tax rate today? NRS. I heard they don't have a new name now, Nigeria Revenue Service. What's the tax rate in Nigeria right now? Is it 30%? Okay. Does everybody know? Please confirm what tax rate.
No, up to 30%. It depends on what your income is.
No, we're talking about there's personal income tax and there's corporate tax. Corporate tax is the tax from government. I know it's broken down into small business.
Large companies is flat. Large companies is 30% flat. And then then you have other things like VAT. But for large, just keep in your mind at 30%. And obviously, if you don't make profits, there's nothing to tax.
Yeah.
And that can be engineered, but I mean, that's the conversation for another day. Withholding tax is typically 10% on interest, but that's depending on the kind of business that you do. If you're a trading business, withholding tax doesn't really apply to you.
So imagine businesses that don't understand finance. When Bolade said that can be engineered, if you know what that means, if you know, you know. So tax evasion is a crime. Tax avoidance is genius. Right? A lot of people don't know that they can manipulate the tax system, not in an illegal way. It's actually legal. I was telling somebody that when you look at American CEOs, like rich guys, you now understand why when they want to do some businesses, they take loans, even though they have the money. You find out some American businesses, you find out that their headquarters is in a funny state. You're wondering, does this state exist in America? And you're wondering why their business is not in Los Angeles or in New York. It's because they are manipulating tax. Because there are states that have zero. Do you guys know the most genius thing Dangote did? Dangote put the refinery in a free trade zone. You know what free trade zone means? That means Dangote is not paying 30% tax rates. That's what it means. It's a free trade zone. Well, the new tax sort of adjusted it a bit, but that's why rich people leverage on financial knowledge. So I was telling somebody something that if you are working and your first 4 months salary cannot pay your rent, you're living above your means. It's a rule of thumb. It's a rule of thumb. If your 4 months salary cannot pay your rent, you're living above your means. So that means
it's not just your rent and other living expenses. So your internet, your light, your utilities, and 40% is even too high. So sorry, 4 months salary is too much. I think 3 months is even best to be more moderate and to have a room for shock. So so not just your rent and all your associated living expenses.
But how many people know this information? So you see somebody that is living in an apartment and his salary is 1 million naira a month. A salary of 1 million naira a month, you're middle class. Am I right? Your salary is 1 million naira a month, but your rent is 6 million. And the guy thinks he's balling. If you live in a rent that is 6 million naira, your salary is 1 million naira a month, you're going to struggle. And that's a lot of Nigeria's reality. So always have that rule of thumb. So there are a lot of small rule of thumb that people don't realize that works, right? I mean, for myself, for example, there's a particular threshold of money I leave that I don't touch. It's fixed deposits, bond, equity, capital markets, treasury bills, bonds, shares, and I won't touch that money. If I need to make a major investment, I'll look for money to put in that thing, right? Because at the end of the day, Everybody has got to have contingency and reserve funds. But that's not even where I'm going to. Remember, I said there are 4 things you must know: revenue, cost, profit, salary, investment. One thing people don't understand about finance is that you cannot save your way to wealth. It's not possible. You cannot save your way into wealth. So let me tell you what happens in Nigeria. There are 3 categories of people in Nigeria. Draw a triangle, get a paper, draw a triangle of 3 levels: up, middle, and low. Up, call it upper class. Lower, call it middle class, and lower, call it lower class, right? Of course, middle class can now be broken down into further upper middle class, lower middle class, and middle class, but that's by the side. So let me tell you what happens. Lower class people try to make it in life by saving. Matter of fact, no, they don't know. Lower class people don't have savings. First of all, lower class people don't have savings. Lower class people live hand to mouth. Middle class try to make it by saving. Upper class make it by investments. As you grow higher, what differentiates the upper class, the middle class, and the lower class is how they look at those 3 things, right? How they look at those 3 things. There's another way that makes someone lower class. Lower class guys live always in the past. Lower class guys are always in debt. They're always thinking about, even when you hear them talk, they talk about the past a lot. Middle class guys live in the present. They're the ones that live on vibe. They're the ones that try to follow trend. They're the ones that wear designer clothes. They're the ones that is now. They want to prepare somebody. Upper class people live in the future. Most of the money they have is in the future, not in today. Ability to leverage in finance comes from you leveraging on fixed costs and on loan financing. Now, loan financing is another form of leverage, but that's a bit complex. Let's not go there. Now, let's end the class with 2 questions, 3 questions. If anybody has any question, please raise your hands on anything we've talked about so far, right? Sadly, I want to talk about the other forms of leverage. There's systems and technology, how you can use systems to optimize your growth. A lot of us are not doing things right because we're not using technology. Technology does not make things, technology is a multiplier. So something happened to us in Hexavia last year, and we decided to create an app. Just that app alone has tripled our revenue, just having our own internal app. How our guys follow through with clients, just because there's an app that documents things, right? Just changes how things are done, right? Have you guys noticed something like if you send a broadcast on a group last year and you send a broadcast now and you're the admin and you just put an art tag, you guys see how many more people you reach? That's the power of technology. System of technology is machines, is SOPs, systems, is automation, is innovation. Then distribution. A lot of people don't have distribution. If you don't have distribution, you will be chasing 1,000 when you should be chasing 10,000. Apple was able to get 1 billion phones to everybody's hand because they thought distribution. Leverage on other distributors. AT&T, China Mobile, Verizon. China alone got them almost 100 million people. Right? So I'm going to take 2 questions quickly as we round up.
Say something.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I quickly say something?
Yes.
Can I go ahead?
Yeah.
Okay. I think when Dr. Allo spoke, I just want to add to some of the things Dr. Allo spoke about the inner circle, because I'm part of the inner circle. So for people that are online, I just need to share 1 or 2 things that I've gained in this inner circle. Before that one also, I've known Izu for a while and I've attended the breakfast meeting. It was the breakfast meeting that propelled me to actually join Inner Circle. And there are lot of things. Like you could see now, he brought 2 people, Abigail and Okewo. You could see that they shared a lot of things. And this is one of the things that have helped many of us. They come from different angles. They show you some things that you are not even looking at. And they share the experiences. And I've been there for almost over 3 years now. And I've seen a lot. So let me quickly talk about the inner circle. And it's for you guys that are intending. For some of you, you might be thinking that, because I know 1 or 2 people have asked me as he was talking, that what do I feel? Now, let me quickly give my own review. First and foremost, before you join inner circle, please write your expectations. Very, very important. Don't go and join any group or anything without your expectation. Because at every point in time, you will be able to understand because you have challenges. That's why you are coming on to join. And one thing I also saw is that the questions we've been asking for the last 2, 3 weeks that we've had what they call the open house, I realize are based on either quality of staff, scaling, what do you call it, finance, and many other things. But I will quickly share 3 things and I just could leave so that other people can ask questions. Number one, quality of staff. In our class, in the last 3 or 4 months now we've had the class, is to define what they call avatar. When you join the class, you understand what an avatar is. If you understand your avatar, you cannot get the wrong stuff. I can guarantee you that one. Number two, who exactly are you? You know, there's something called Joaris windows, which are the things you're going to learn. Joaris windows, Ikigai, wheel of life. This one is for you. I can bet you, I've gone to many classes, many programs. They don't teach you that. Number three, scaling. When you talk about scaling, the truth there is that is we always tell owners, there's a corporate, there's an executive, and there's operation. Many of us are always running operations. I can tell you, many entrepreneurs, we are sitting at the operations, and your business are not scale. He's going to talk about it. Another thing he's going to talk about is boarding. See, when you go through all these things about setting up your board, as in board setting up and the finance and things like that, I can bet you will never remain the way you came. Finally, there's a book. You know, I always tell people about this book. There's a book called Hexavia Law of Business. If you go and listen to that book, and he has a podcast on it, I think, a podcast on it or something like that. If you listen to that one, your mind will blow. You will see many things you are not seeing before. And finally, we did in the last 2 weeks or 3 or 4 weeks or so, we started this mastering your next 5 moves. I bet you this is one of the things you need to do. And he's done a lot of things. So I can bet you are not wasting money. One other thing I can also advise you is that if you realize that things are not, maybe presently you have a lot of things, a lot of overheads on you now, presently, and you want to still join, have a chat with you. There's a way we will program the thing for you. You understand? But I can bet you it's not something to miss. 2026, a lot of things are going to happen in Nigeria. It's only politics they're going to spend money on. So if you are going to develop your business, you need to know how your business is going to go. Nobody, the government is going to do much. So please, this is just my own input. Thank you.
All right, Joshua, thank you so much. Just making my brand ambassador at once. Thank you so much. That might be there, and I just wanted to run you guys through it. So there are 12 weeks, and that 12 weeks is 3 months. Of course, 4 weeks make a month, so you can understand why it's 12 weeks. And we go through 4 months, otherwise 3 months, otherwise called 12 weeks of learning. The first one is clarity. We want everybody to understand who they are, ikigai, finding your ikigai. Every human being must have something that intersects in 3 circles. The first circle is what you love. The second circle is what you're good at. And the third circle is what the world can pay you for. When those 3 circles converge, you'll be living a fulfilling life. And I'm not here to brag. By God's grace and by God's mercy, I have lived an interestingly decently progressive life. And that's because what I do for a living is what I love. What I love is also what I'm good at. What I'm good at is also what makes money from me. You see, most people don't have those luxury. And the reason for it is because they never even heard of the word ikigai before. So the first assignment is to get you to get to a place where what you love is what you do. And that doesn't mean you must change your career path. It means that you must concentrate on what you love in that career path that you do. So some of us, for example, are extroverts. We like to talk. But the kind of work that we are in a bakery, for example. Now, imagine in a bakery, you own a bakery. You're the CEO of a bakery. Your ikigai is to talk to people. But because you don't have structure, you are always making bread when you should be talking to customers and talking to people. So you send your girls to go to all the supermarkets to go and tell them that you supply bread to the supermarket. They come back and they tell you story. Now, your ikigai is you love to talk and you're good. Remember, ikigai is what you love, what you're good at, and what you can make the most money from. Now, you go to that Instead of you to go to that supermarket, you can't go to that supermarket because you're busy micromanaging people in the bakery. And I'd say this here, if anybody here is a CEO and spends so much time in the operations of their business, see, I'm not swearing for you, but the chance of you scaling is very slim. Look, the ability for you to be able to scale is the ability for you to exit operations, get yourself an operation manager as a replacement, then go up to the corporate level. Remember, there's a triangle that has 3 sides. So that's the first thing we learn about optimizing life. Then we step back to remember what life really means, because Nigeria gives an illusion that life is about making money. That is one of the daftest thought process. Money is supposed to help you live life, but most of us live life making money. It's like you get to the end of your life only to realize that you have not lived. So we talk about wheel of life. Wheel of life, we want to talk about the 7 elements that determine a great life: health, finance, spirituality, career, business, right? Family. Most of us are getting one right at the detriment of the other. So you start to learn balance, yin yang, right? You have to, at some point, you've got to, and then finally you realize something that one at some point can temporarily suffer just for the other one. Then after you convert that other one to other one, so there's a time in your life where maybe it looks like you're doing more work than family, but because you are aware of the wheel of life, you quickly use money to take back the family back. Like that's where you carry your revenue or your profit and send your family and yourself on vacation just so you can rebond back to your family. I grew up in an interesting neighborhood in Ikoyi, and I saw firsthand how people get to the end of their life miserable because they made so much money and they lost their family. Right? They lost their family. I mean, there's a friend of mine whose father passed on. The last time I went to see the person's father, you know what the person's father said to me? He said to me that, look, can you ask your friend, that's his son, when last he saw me? And I just jokingly laughed. I said, Daddy, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. So when we're going out, I spoke to the guy and I told the guy that, Omo, did you hear what your dad just said? When last did you see your dad? This guy lives on the same street as his father. On the same street as his father. The guy says, maybe like 5 months, 6 months. I said, guy, how do you see your father 5 and 6 months when you live on the same street? You pass his house every day. You know what the guy said to me in confidence? The guy said, Isu, there's really nothing to talk about when I see him. On my look, this pain me. I went home, I told my wife. 2 weeks later, the man passed on. I told my wife that this guy would have lived longer if they showed him more attention. But guess what? This guy is one of the richest Nigerians. Top 10 Nigerians at some point, he was among. That's somebody that never heard about the wheel of life. So he made one very well, that's finance, but killed health, spirituality, business. Right? So we learned up that, then we talk about personal and corporate growth plan. That's what we introduced to Balanced Scorecard. And then we talk about the 4 horsemen of exponential growth. Does anybody remember the 4 horsemen of exponential growth? Here? Any inner circle guys? Do you guys remember the 4 horsemen of exponential growth?
Sorry, Izu. I wanted to say something in connection to what you say.
Yeah.
A lot of times, from personal experience and experiences of friends and mentors that I know that are very big in the industry, are billionaires, balancing family life, business life, and other things is one of the most difficult things you can do as an entrepreneur, because a lot of times your business is growing. As much as you get people to assist, come on board and structure, and you give yourself the leverage to live life, but somehow, at the initial stage of your starting point, you still need to get involved. And a lot of times it can get a toll on family, and it's a very difficult thing to do in managing this aspect of life together. If you can shed more light on that, I'll be very delightful.
I see, this is why the inner circle is so important, because we are very vulnerable to ourselves. There are things I can't share here, to be honest, because it's an open house. There are too many people, and people take you out of context, and then next thing you go viral. You guys,
Our
listen,
hands have been up.
you share personal stuff. Yeah, just give me a minute, Wilfred. There's something we talk about in the inner circle called compensation advantage. Compensation advantage is the explanation to what you're asking for. Maybe you should read up about it. Compensation advantage is the things you're good at to make up for what you're not good at. The things you're good at to make up for what you're not good at. So let me be vulnerable just for a second. And please, now, just as one as a private conversation. 2 years into my marriage, 2 years, I'm a real example of a business-minded and focused person. I was telling someone that before I turned 30, I was already had 3 master's degree before I turned 30. I didn't date all through my 20s. So when you feel like time has, when your parents start asking you, bring grandchild home, bring grandchild, I wanted to get married, I got married. I didn't know jack about marriage and family. And this is me being vulnerable. 2 years into my marriage, I began to have crisis. This is a true story. I began to have crisis. That's a real example of, and you know what's painful? You say to yourself, but I'm providing for the house. You know that thing that men say, but I'm providing for the house. Why are you not happy or why are you not excited? Do you know what changed that whole trajectory? Is when I bumped into this compensation advantage. That what are you good at to make up for what you're not good at? So practically, I started to get involved a lot more with so I realized that everybody defines success in a different way. So I made it a point of that to always drop off my kids in the morning before I go to work. Always drop off. If I spoke to one of my mentors, I know one of my mentors said, he said, Izu, move your office close to your house. So I moved my office to my estate where I live. So I can actually go a bit later because I empowered the guys in my team to do early morning meetings because I cannot come to the office very early in the morning because I need to drop off my kids. Now, my wife was complaining that, we don't pray like every morning. And those are, thinking back now, those are very genuine complaints that as of then, I don't think it was genuinely complaint. Now, because I dropped my kids off at school, my wife can tag along sometimes in the morning in the car. They will do a prayer while we're driving to school. Do you guys see what is happening? I'm compensating, right? Right, and then I'm habit stacking. We talk about habit stacking a lot, that things you're not good at to make up for what you're good at, things you don't like, and combine it with what you're good at. Like, for example, I don't like to make calls. I don't like phone calls in my ear. I don't like it. Anybody that knows me knows how much I don't make calls. I mean, I'm a chat person. If you want to reach me, chat me up. But guess what? I like to do exercise. I like to do walks. So I have earphones on. If I'm going for my long walk, I'm making calls. That is called habit stacking. My children don't like to eat. We don't have a TV in the house, but once in a while, we allow them watch cartoons on their mom's phone. So the only time they get to watch cartoons is when they are eating. So they don't like to eat, but they like to watch cartoons. So we habit stack. We put one on top of the other. The one they like with the one they don't like. I don't know if you want to say it makes sense. There is no such thing as real work-life balance, but you have to keep balancing it. I don't know if you want to say it makes sense. So you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that, you do a little bit of this, you do a little bit of that. I mean, after this call right now, I'm going to take my kids to the beach. That's a compensation for me missing early mornings on a holiday with them because I'm here with you guys. You have to keep thinking of balance. And a lot of these things would only happen when you have mentors in your life. I mean, I remember on the first crisis we had, and I went to my mentor. My mentor laughed. You know what my mentor said to me? My mentor says, "Easy, when I was in my 30s, I was a bank MD, right? I was a bank MD. So I understand what you're going through as a high flyer. But this is what I did. This is what I did. And Tunde, if she's still on this call, she knows what I'm talking about. He says, but these are the things I did, these are the things I did, things I did. And it changed that perspective. Maybe by now I'd have been fighting, I would have been in my second divorce self, if not 3 self, right? And that saved my marriage. I don't know if this sort of makes sense to you guys. Sometimes finding an accountability partner you can be vulnerable to. 1, will solve the problem. 2, understanding how it's a balancing act. You have to keep balancing them at the same time, right? You have to keep balancing them at the same time. Sometimes I'm going on a retreat. I'm taking my family along just so I can balance it out, right? I don't know if I'm connecting, right, but we're going to talk a lot more. For the guys who are asking me about next 2 days extension, I'm sorry, I don't have an extension to give anybody. The class, we have a maximum number to take for the class. It's for people that can make payment today. If you want to make payment, what I would stylishly tell you in confidence is, if you make a small payment, we can put it in our books that the payment was made today because there was a initial payment done. You guys know how accounting, receivables and payable work, right? Accrual accounting. Because a payment was made today, we can now say, okay, well, the balance will be made tomorrow, but in our books, it will be to today. I want a lot of people here, right? Yes, Ngozi, I just saw your message now. Yes, you can pay that to hold it. I saw your message now. Yes, and yes, you said I didn't add. Okay, it's a GT. If you can hear me, right? So I want everybody here to be a part of that circle. So you can see how I'm just running you guys through the calendar. Is already raising questions, right? Then every last week we do recap and case studies. Now, the inner circle has 3 pillars. 1 is the strategy sessions and structure sessions. The second pillar is template. We share templates. So, for example, I'm sure somebody wants to see what the Wheel of Life template looks like. Finance, finance, career/business, health, family, spirituality, personal development, right? You want to see how the Wheel of Life and how you can use it to create we'll share the template with you guys. Setting up a business that you can delegate. That's where Avatar comes in. A lot of us want good people, but have never sat down to write down what our idea of a good staff look like. Wilfred, your hand has been up since. David, your hand has been up since. Let me take your 2 questions just quickly as we start to round up. Yeah, go ahead, Wilfred and David.
All right. Thank you very much, Izu. Actually,
Yes.
mine was a contribution when you talked about branding. Practical example. So I work in a hospital. I'm in a personal development program, which is one of the part of the Wheel of Life. And of course, in the big hospital there, in federal teaching hospital, you have what you call pharmaceutical reps of the big pharma companies. Whether they are foreign or local, coming around and trying to market. Love them marketing competing products, right? You could have the brand of paracetamol called Izumol, for example, right? And Kenneth could have Kenmol, and you have your guys coming to market the same product. Meanwhile, you are manufacturing for Kenneth. Anyway, basically, so true case in point. Do you know this pharma company called Zolon?
No, I don't.
Izu.
No,
okay,
I
good. Exactly. My point, that underscores my exact point. Now, he comes in and says, I'm from Zolon. And I'm like, which one is Zolon again? Now I'm pro-Nigerian. I'm pro-Nigerian brands. I mean, I could market Izu in any country and say Hexavia is one of the best brands on earth for structuring. Have you heard of Hexavia? Right. Okay, it's based in this. Now, and I looked at the fly was looking at, I mean, the guy was, was approachable, humble and all that. The others were kind of aggressive. So I looked at it and I just looked at under it, a very small logo, and I saw Emzo. I said, "What does your brand have to do with Emzo?" He says, "It's a subsidiary under Emzo." And I looked at him. I said, "Wait a minute. Zolon is Emzo." I said, "Listen, you're making one fundamental mistake. First of all, when you come in, tell them you are from Emzo."
Fantastic, yeah.
Tell him you are from that you represent Emzo. You will eclipse every other brand, straight the foreign ones. Now, guess what? One of my senior colleagues came in, and I just told him, "Sir, he's from Emzo." He immediately asked, "Oh," he now mentioned the founder's name. I said, "Oh, she's still around. That's very good for Emzo." I said, "Sir, do you know Zolon?" He said, "Which one is Zolon again?" I now told him and his 2 colleagues, I said, "Please, when you walk in here, the way people will take you in is first say I'm from Emzo. You've already captured the heart of every adult Nigerian here. They will take you in first. Then you can tell them about the product and say, oh, by the way, there's a subsidiary owned by one of the biological relatives." I mean, it worked on you. You don't know Zolon, but you know Emzo. So that was why I told them, and that was that brand association. And I said, "Look, just mention Emzo and you've got the brand." That was the main person I kept listening to out of all the 12 of them that kept coming. Main person, and that was just it. That was just a contribution. Thank you very much. The rest, the question you asked at the beginning, I'll tell you.
Oh, fantastic. And let me say this. David, your hands are up. Just give me a minute. Let me just say this. And please, if you're getting value here, oh, by the way, I need everybody to do me an assignment just quickly. If you're getting value here, whatever platform you heard about me, about this class, I want you to do it now. I'm going to pause for like 30 seconds. I'm going to let you take your phone. And I want you to go to the WhatsApp group that you heard about us. The WhatsApp group that you heard about us. Please go to that WhatsApp group now, right? And give a honest testimonial, right, of the session. If it was worth your time, please just say it. Because when we're talking about brand association, I just realized that brand driven from brands, one of the best way to build your brand is by testimonials. A lot of us have clients that have done. I was telling my guy's office that I'm going to take a billboard, and the only thing I'm going to put on that billboard, Hexavia billboard, is just a logo of all the clients we work for. When you see the clients we work for, when you just see the names of the clients we work for, right? There's literally no major Nigerian bank that we haven't done work with right now. There's literally no major FMCG we haven't worked on. Let people just see that, oh, these guys have been part of either trainings, restructuring, strategy for this company, right? Because brands rubber from brands. I just wanted to say that. Please, everybody, go back, right, and just drop a message and say, oh, I had a great time here. Another thing about building brand association is very simple. If you ever know a big brand you want to be associated with and you don't know how to get to them, just play this trick. You know what this trick is? Offer them a free service. Once you offer them a free service, convert that money they would have given you that they didn't give you into bragging rights. I think I shared this on Thursday, that there's a particular bank we're trying to get into. They were telling us that, you know, blah, 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 can you bring this? Can you bring that? Do you know I just said, you know what? I just wrote to them. I said, look, I'm going to have a free session with you guys. Free sessions. But I need so people, the head of this, the head of that to be there. Don't worry. If it's going to be physical, I will provide the refreshments. This is a banco. I'll provide buffet for you guys. The guy was just looking at me like, are you joking? I said, yes. He said, that's a bit too much. Maybe you can do virtual so you don't spend too much money. I said, oh, better. You're repeating me, no problem. Virtual. We started the session, 30 minutes in session. I told them, look, you know, we're highly sought after. I need to run. I have another session tomorrow. I need to get prepared. You know, I have a meeting. All of them just started chatting. No, now you're not finished. Can you list out? You know how somebody was saying, can you list out the 3 things you just said about branding? This free session, I cannot list out anything. You should go and sleep. Right? Next thing, they're like, please, can you finish that statement? I said, sorry, I have another meeting. I need to go. Do you know, I got off that Zoom session and the head of their training, the academy, called me to say that one of the directors was in the session and said, why is this guy not training in our training school? He said, send me a proposal. This conversation had made like 10 times more money from it. And then I remember that the Bible says that a man's gift maketh way for him. Some of you are tailors here. In your business, you go to a church where your pastor is well dressed. You do suits. You have not thought it wise one day to sew nice suit for your pastor and give your pastor. And when your pastor give your pastor, take a picture of you and your pastor with your pastor holding your suit that you just gave him. And when they enter your boutique the next day, they will see your pastor's picture with your suits. Do you know what he will do? Just imagine you attend Salvation Ministry. I'm talking about pastors that I know that are well dressed. Salvation Ministry, BMA dresses very well. Dunamis, what's his name now? Enenche dresses very well. These are pastors that dress super well. Chris Oyakilome dresses very well. Imagine that what you just want to do is just sew suits for all these people and DHL it to them. Just DHL it to them. If they are not badly behaved, they will get it and they will send you a thank you message. Then you can now go and brag and say, I saw for Oyakilome, I saw for Enenche. Guys, please confirm. Will I be lying if I say that I saw for them if I give them a suit? Am I not truly not sewing for them? Do you know the amount of followers that they have? There are people that because you've sewn for them, they will start sewing from you. That is how you build brand association. I'm just pointing out the conversation around brand associations. You can easily build brand association very easily by giving free service to the brand you want to be associated with. Make sense? Make sense? All right, David Naji, your hand has been up since. Yeah, go ahead, David.
Yeah, good afternoon, Mr. Ibu. Yeah.
David, I didn't know it was you. How are you doing?
I'm quite well. So I have, of course, a question, and afterwards I have just a comment. So the question first, at what point is a business truly ready to expand? By expansion, I mean more branches and all, not just from a growth standpoint, but in a way that it maximizes its, like you said, existing fixed costs and operational efficiency. And how do you do this without risking quality, your brand name in person, and also maybe perhaps exposing trade secrets, which is one of the major risks with expansion?
Okay, so let me make this easy. Bolade, I don't know if you're still here. Sorry, we kept you longer than we suggested. Are we getting value, guys? If we're getting value, right, please say something nice. Please, guys, I would consider you enemy of progress if you don't go and drop a comment on the group that you joined. Say, oh, I'm getting so much value, because there's something I want to follow up after that session with. Everybody that came to this session, if you have above 10 staff, this week I'm going to give you complimentary free 30-minute session with us. I want to understand your business, because there are people that never have commissions publicly, for maybe they are shy or they don't want to expose trade secret. I would sit down I on my team will sit down with you 30 minutes, free strategy session, but you must have at least 10 staff, because I wanted to give that also as a update, right? Now, let me state this here. At what point do you know that you are ready to scale? First, at the point where you've built a great team. Scaling without having a team will sabotage your scaling. So let me assume that you have a restaurant and you cook good food, but you are the one cooking the food. You cannot scale. The time you have a great team that's cooking the food, you can now open another outlet and move. Let me say you have a kitchen of 5 good cooks. You can now open another kitchen and move 2 of the cooks to the new place. Remember, the cooks are going there with the culture of how your food tastes and the recipe until you have a great team. I mean, Xavier, we're trying to open a branch in Abuja and a branch in Enugu. For the past 6 months, we had hired somebody that I have not seen in that 6 months in Enugu who is doing work for our clients in Lagos. My guys, I told my guys to do an anonymous feedback, right? And by the way, let me say this to everybody here. You're not going to scale if you do not have an open mind to feedback. So there's something daring I do every quarter. I tell all my team members to give feedback on the company that they work for. That's Hexavia, anonymously. They can say what they want to say. David, you've worked with us before in Hexavia. You know how we are with anonymous forms. Sometimes they say things that are not even pleasant, but I tell myself that that's part of the food of a winner. You eat both the good, the bad of people's feedback. So one of them said, this is this quarter. We do it every quarter. So this quarter ended, last quarter ended last week, right? I know what the guy said. The guy says, I don't understand how you're hiring somebody that is not in Lagos and giving him work lesser than us and paying him same salary as us. I just laughed. Not every feedback must you give feedback, but the guy doesn't know that behind the scene, the reason why we hire someone in Lagos that's work remote, even though we don't work remote in Xavier, is because we are planning to open an office there, and we need somebody that understands our culture internally to open it there. Are you guys following this conversation? Now, we want to build a great team. The team should go before the outlets, assuming it's retail. So there's a church in Nigeria that is fast expanding all of a sudden. It's called Covenant Nation. For almost 20 years, Covenant Nation only had 1 branch. Then for another 5 years, last 10 years, they now had maybe like only 3 branches. But in the last 2 years, they've had almost like 20 or 30 branches. And you'll be wondering, how did they just start expanding? Every major hotel now, you go to, there's Covenant Nation there. I mean, you go to any state. And I was telling them that what Pastor Poju was doing for years was building great team. All those people that used to see that where you thought were just church members, they were all pastors in training. So that's 1. 2 is the point where your supply is more than your demand. Sorry, your demand is more than your supply. Where your demand is more than your supply. A lot of people don't understand the power of demand being more than your supply. That means, Omo, you don't have a marketing problem. You have a production problem. Then you should scale. Right? But for you to scale, the assumption you must make. One assumption is you must assume that you want to build a business that has multiple branches. So let's go back to the iFitness story and say how they were able to scale. Let me tell you guys this practical. I never thought, I don't know how it escaped my mind. As the Farm Flavors guys here. So last 3 years, and by the way, for the guy that had work-life balance, that was also something brilliant I did 3 years ago. I and my wife started a business, talk about scaling. It was a food brand. My wife's a nutritionist. We started a healthy food brand. After 3 years, we're in our 11th outlet. We're opening our 11th and our first franchise brand outside of Lagos. So I understood what Bolade was saying about our island mainland. We built our first 6 branches on the mainland, then built 2 branches on island, then built another branch on the mainland, and then we're moving outside of Lagos. In 3 years, guys, 3 years, 11 outlets, 3 years. So I don't know whether I know a thing or two about scale. But at what point did we know that we could scale? At the point where we knew that our brand has started to become recognizable. So another thing you must do is that you must build a brand. Now, here are the 3 assumptions you must make. First, you must assume you want to build multiple branches. 2, you must assume that you are building something that will transfer to the next generation. And 3, you must assume that you want to sell the business. People don't know that when they say they want to do equity. Equity means selling a business, or at least a part of the business in shares, right? I think those are like the key things. At what point you know that you need to scale? Is the point where you have a great team. There's a spiritual part to it though, the part where your body feels unease. Once your body starts to feel unease and uncomfortable of being in the same place, it's time to scale. It's like, when a woman is pregnant, how she knows when she's in labor, how she knows she's about to give birth is when she feels pain. Am I right? In labor, right? The point where she feels pain is when she's in labor. Am I right? Right? That's the point where she knows that. At the point where you start to feel very unease, and unease means restless. You want to be more, you want to do more, you want to have more. You know when you get to that point, right? And let me say this. When you see opportunity, take it, whether you're ready or not, because that's another point. At the point where you see an opportunity, you take it. We weren't quite interested in taking a Port Harcourt branch, but somebody had sent me a message and said there was a particular outlet that was moving out in Port Harcourt for a session. From the airport, I begged the car that was carrying me, the mopole and the driver, and I said, look, can you please just take me to a place? And it was a place where the guy told me that somebody was moving out of the place, that the place was not doing very well. I just went to see the place. When I got there and I saw the amount of car parked in that mall, I said, wait, this guy is selling food and he's moving out of this place. I said, yes. I said, and he's moving out. I said, yes. I entered the place to see the place. When I entered the place, I knew why the guy was moving out. Immediately, I sent the guy a message. I said, send me an account number. I'm going to make payment for the place. The guy, let me first secure the place. I said, I spent 20 minutes in that place. I bought food there. I knew everything that was wrong with that place. So first of all, when I even bought food, the girl in the place gave me her own personal account number to pay money for the food I bought. So first of all, there was fraud. She was probably doing business for another person. I said, second thing I realized was that their branding was very, very poor. Branding was very poor. 3, food was not even good. I said, demand is there. Supply is just not there. Remember what I said? When demand is more than supply. When demand is more than supply, you need to scale. Bolade and Macaulay, I don't know if you guys have comment on this, just quickly. We need to round up. This is supposed to end at 12. We've done, like this guy, the lady was saying, we always give extra 1 hour. Yes, Bolade and Macaulay, I don't know if you guys want to add, at what point do you know that you need to scale in your business beyond when your brand is heavy, when your team is heavy, when you have an expectation of opportunity that can't wait, and of course, when demand is more than supply? Those are the point where you know that you need to scale. At that point, you use money to scale. Right? David, that your hand is still up. I don't know, maybe you want to throw
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Very well answered, superbly. So I also stated I had a comment because I think I'm speaking from a personal point of view, especially for those meeting Mr. Izu for the first time. One thing is you are bound to face might be overwhelm paralysis. You kind of get into that phase whereby you are wondering how you want to capture all this at a go. The truth is you can't, right? You can't. So here is something I always know I did and something I believe that works. Hexavia and ISO, so it's like a stream. You fetch what you can per moment, go and apply those and come back for more. But you'd never expect to get it all at a go. You'd get what you can carry at this moment and come back for more. Because I know that most people back out due to overwhelm paralysis a lot. So I just need to state that.
Fantastic. Thanks. And that's also a reminder that we have to start closing the curtains. Hope this has been worth our time in more ways than one. So remember the session, the breakfast with Izu starts breakfast session is on the 11th, that's this Saturday, and then the upper Thursday, the inner circle starts. You have a discount of 50% for the inner circle if you make a payment today, and a 20% for the breakfast with Izu if you make a payment today. If you still want to even do a deposit, so that we know that non-refundable deposit, so that we know that you've locked up that space. Every week for the next 12 weeks for the inner circle, we'll have different things to talk about. Week 1, we talk about Ikigai. Week 2, we talk about self-optimization and goal setting. Week 3, we talk about personal and growth planning, how to drop a growth plan for yourself and for your business using the balance scorecard. Growth plan for business means growth plan for your finance, growth plan for your structure, growth plan for your innovation, and growth plan for your experience. And then by the second month, we get technical with structure, how to build structure, corporate governance, setting up a board, ground rules and systems you must have. Every business will have about 6 different systems: primary aim systems, objective systems, human resource systems, branding and marketing systems, right? And how to set that up. Then week 3, we venture into finance for non-finance executives. That's what we'll talk about: accounting, P&L, balance sheet, how to read and how to drop all those things, direct cost, indirect cost, fixed cost, variable cost, how to calculate break-even analysis. Everybody must know how to do a break-even analysis in the inner circle. Then we'll talk about structure and systems and the McKinsey 7S. 7 things you need to build your great business. Everybody must know how to build that great business. It's extremely important in itself. And by the 3rd month, we're talking about mastering your next 5 moves. There are 5 moves everybody must master to master life and growth and exponential growth. First of them is mastering your brand and business. Second one is mastering your ability to reason. A lot of people don't know how to reason. A lot of people don't know how to solve problems. The highest they know is how to identify the problems, and they don't know how to solve the problems, right? To solve a problem, there's a formula we use called the Mark DMAIC, right? To introduce the DMAIC and how to error-proof when you finally solve a problem to make sure that problem doesn't happen again. And the 3rd week, we talk about having a great team. And having a great team is when you learn how to find the right guys, how to, first of all, people try to build a great team without first planning on the great team, right? The first thing you do is not to recruit. The first thing you do is to HR plan. Your organogram determines who you recruit. The type of business and the core values you have determine who you recruit. For example, in Hexavia, our core value is excellence, speed, and growth. You guys can see how I talk fast. I like to think that I think fast. I like to think I talk fast, right? Speed is so important to us. What another competitor will do in 4 years, we'll try to do it in 3. I tell my guys that most of our clients is 4 months interventions. We don't like to spend too much time because you start getting married to the natives of that company. You get too close to restructure, come and do your work, and then you leave. You want to put us in retainership, then that's fine. But speed is so important to us. Excellence is so important to us. 90% of our workforce in Hexavia made 4.5 CGPA in university. That means most of our graduates are first-class graduates because they have to deliver excellence. And one of the things I learned is if you constantly made A all through your primary school, all through your secondary school, all through your university, you know something about excellence. You've been consistent with excellence. At least when you score your 70 out of 100, what do they write there? They write excellence, right? So how you plan your team is important. And when you finally find the team, putting them in the right position is everything. Sometimes you have the right guys, but they're in the wrong positions, right? You have the right guys, you're in the wrong position. Your work as a leader is to be a talent manager. And that's also important. And by the 4th week, we're talking about mastering power play. As you go higher, it gets colder. People don't understand that there are laws to this power game, right? A lot of people don't understand it. And if you don't understand power game, you are not being aware of how the universe works. One of the biggest mistakes you can make as a human being is to assume that everybody thinks like you. Because you're a good person, you think everybody is a good person. They play, right? You can get a lot of things done with a kind word, but you can get a lot more things done with a kind word and gun on the table. That is my view on life. People respect people in Nigeria. Nigeria is not just a country of people. Nigeria is a country of bullies by the people for the bully. Everybody's trying to out-bully the last bully, right? Even the Nigerian government, the only thing Nigerian government respects is a bully that is bigger than them. I mean, I was telling someone that if anybody go take power in 2027, it has to be somebody that it has to be something that they're afraid of, not somebody that is better. If you know what I mean, right? Nigeria is a country where if everybody hits the streets, right, the country will succumb, the government will succumb. But one thing we need to understand is that this life, as you go higher, competition becomes more fierce, and how you deal with people. And when I say deal with people, I'm not talking about in a negative or an aggressive way. Just having a board, right? Just having a board is a power game in Nigeria. Who you know is a power game in Nigeria. There are people who will never mess with you in this country because they've seen you with certain type of people. You know, I remember years ago, I had a very troublesome landlord. I'll never forget this. Years ago, I had trouble with the landlord. The landlord was, you know, this kind of landlord that are troublesome, very, very troublesome, very, very troublesome in more ways than one. One day she got into trouble with everybody, and for whatever reason, she didn't have to get in trouble with me. It was later that I found out I'd moved out of the house, and I'm still close to them, and I found out why. That at the time when I moved to that house, I had a client that was a military general who used to come and see me in the house. Now, a military general coming to see you comes with an OP Mesa convoy with military people. When she wanted to make police trouble, right, she exempted me. It was later I got to find out that the reason for that was that she told somebody in confidence that she doesn't want soldier people. This one, I think his uncle is a soldier. Meanwhile, it wasn't my uncle. But that just explains that Nigeria respects people that are around you. So all of you running one-man business, one-man army, you are shortchanging yourself. There are people that will never take you serious in business, right? Until you enter a room with people that they respect, saying, I know this guy too. So surround yourself with boards, not just for the influence of it, for the spiritual value that they bring. Somebody who has gotten 10 times your results will give you an advice in 5 minutes that will take you 5 years to figure out by yourself. I don't know if I'm communicating, guys. You must have people that give you access. You must have people that give you superior knowledge and experience. And you must have people that have money around you. Look, if you're here and if you need to raise 20 million naira now, this public holiday, you can't. There's something you need to do better with your network. I know it feels like boss, but there's an opportunity that can come now that whether you can wait till tomorrow or today determines how much you can. And everybody must have that. Right? So hope it's been worth your time. Thank you so much. I had as much time and I had as much fun and with this time as others. Bolade, I don't know if you have a final word. Macaulay, I don't know if you have a final word, just quickly, or anybody has a final word or a question. You can just go ahead quickly and share your final words with us. For guys who are going to join the inner circle, welcome. I look forward to seeing you guys. Gigi, please share the link to the free one-on-one session. Just share the link now with the free one-on-one session. Please click on the link on the chat section, right? If you want to also get the recording of this session, please drop your phone number and email, right? If you also join the inner circle, we have over 20 different of this type
Thank you very much.
that recorded before, right? That you have access to complimentary. And let me also say that the inner circle comes with a complimentary +1. And please, my guys, do not be the smartest guy on your team. Why did we start doing +1 complimentary? That means you pay for one person, one more person from your team to join. Because whatever you have learned today, Monday, you try to implement on Tuesday. The weapon fashioned against you as staff will undo what you have learned today because they didn't hear what you heard. You know, your brain has expanded small. Tomorrow, they will help you shrink it back. Right? And that's why I tell you that when you're traveling abroad and you see all those world-class things, carry one staff if you can afford it. So that when you come back and you're telling them that the toilet is dirty, they don't understand why the toilet is dirty because they're comparing that toilet in your office with the one in their house. When they should compare that toilet in your office with the one that is world-class. You know, Nigeria likes to compare things with the list. You know, that happens in marriage a lot. Somebody said that a woman compares the husband with the best. Somebody said in marriage, a woman compares the husband with the best, then the husband compares himself with the worst. Everybody noticed that, right? So the man will say, so person bought so person. And the man will now say, can you not see that your friend's husband, I cannot buy anything? So that's the psychology of gender anyway. While you're trying to compare with the best, your staff is comparing with the worst. So you have to understand that you need to upgrade them so their value of worst is reduced. Does anybody understand what I'm saying? Nobody understand what I'm saying? So let me know, right? It's a major variable. So, and when you set up a team, you put too much pressure on the best guys. when you should be putting pressure on the worst guys. You know what Nigerian businessmen do is that they find the best guy in the team, they now give him more work. So the person is overloaded and he just resigns. You do appraisal and you reward the best guy and you leave the worst guy. The worst guy is your problem, not the best guy. In your business, the best guy is not as important as the worst guy. Your work is to keep eliminating all the worst guys in the business. Make sense, guys? Macaulay, final word as we leave. Then Bolade next.
I'm hoping that everybody learnt so much from the session. I know these sessions are really, 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 really impactful. Thank you, Izu, for everything, for the knowledge that you impart on everybody. And I'm hoping that a lot of people join the inner circle, because as you can all tell, there's a lot of great things to be taken out of that. So I'm sure that everyone here has joined or put a deposit down as a commitment to pay or commitment to join. And hopefully I can be at one of the sessions on the Breakfast with Izu in Nigeria.
Oh, how do I think that? Oh, do you know when you're back now? Abigail, do you know when you'll be back?
Not yet. Not yet, but I can work on it.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange that we've been here for 3 hours. God damn it. It's 3 hours.
Wow, yeah.
And we still have over 100 people. 90% of people haven't left. I really, on a holiday, I'm blown away. Thanks for the attention span. People said the Nigerians don't like to read. I don't think so. I think that people need to write better books so people can read more. I mean, somebody said something over the weekend and it was powerful. He said that when people say they're not interested, it's not that they're not interested, it's that you're not interesting. And that just stuck to my head. It says your work is not to be angry that people are not interested. Your work is to ask yourself, how can I be more interesting? And that's something everybody should think about well enough. Bolade, any final word before we go? I think Bolade has zoned out. Go ahead.
No, I'm still here, and I think I've actually received more than I've gotten. I've received more than I've given today, and I'm so glad that we reconnected, Izu. So I'm looking forward to, reinserting myself into this network. I'm very optimistic, and our job. Hello.
Bolade, sorry, I was going to ask you: are you available to?
Can you hear me?
I'll put you on the spot. Would you be willing to co-pilot the Breakfast with Izu session?
Am I cutting out?
No. I said no. Would you be available for the breakfast session at Echo Hotel this Saturday?
Yeah, I will. I'll be available. Yeah. So yeah, I'm just looking forward to reinserting myself into this network. I think that we investors, we are very short-sighted and we are not aware of the amount of brilliant entrepreneurs that are doing a lot of cash flow positive businesses in Lagos, and this is getting me closer to real businesses that we can make real returns from. So I'm excited. My final word is that this thing that we usually say at the end of church services or fellowships, where you say, "Surely goodness and mercies are following me." It doesn't say staying with me; it says following me. Following is is an active word, so it means if something is following you, it means you are going somewhere. So you just need to take a move and be going somewhere. And those goodness and mercies that you've been asking for will follow you. If you are staying in one place, that prayer doesn't apply. It applies to you going, because that's why it says follow. Whatever it means to you, will just be going somewhere, be making a move, and those goodness and mercies will follow you. Thank you.
That's deep. Thank you. Thank you so much. I dropped my personal contact on the phone, on the chat section for people that don't have the number, right? I'm willing to take your private questions if possible, and in case you want to reach out to me privately. And thank you so much, Macaulay and Bolade. Bolade, you're such an amazing guy. Bolade is one of the most consistent human beings. As far back as 10 years ago, Bolade used to throw this very nice, cool intellectual party, right? Book club. We had so much fun. Bolade, I used to call me my babe then, who's now my wife. I don't know if you remember, right? Yeah, and we had so much fun, like food, drinks, loads of smart, intellectual people. Bolade, what happened to Outliers? Let me put you on the spot.
You are really